The Grappling Hour is brought to you by Luda Gear, athletic support items created by grapplers for grapplers. Fire Grub Meal Prep done right. Nope, I don't. I don't want him to be on first. I want me to be on first. Jesus Christ. Don't show the guest before I get to say who it is. Jesus Christ. This technology. I'm telling you this right now. I want to say something that I am so excited for today's show. Here's why I'm excited about today's show. Not only do we have the winner of Combat Jiu-Jitsu, which I was covering last night, but we have the winner of not only a Polaris title, but the winner of the match of my night. That's not really a prize that we give out. That you don't really get anything for it, but you get my undying love and appreciation all the way from the other side of the pond. Please welcome the winner from an amazing match between Ethan Krelson and our guest, Ash Williams. Ash, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm pretty fatigued after a tough weekend, but I'm just happy from the match, really, just on a high, really.
Okay. Should we address, the what we should be saying here? Because I don't, I think you have something on your eye.
I couldn't believe it. Obviously, it was 12 minutes into the match, and I was touched my face, and I was like, some blood, and I jammed for a second. I was like, no, man, this match can't stop because of the cut. I didn't know where it was, if it was high up in my eye or above, but it was just it caught a little scratch across my cheek. But somehow, man, my whole eye has gone black.
Yeah.
Which sucks. But everyone keeps being like, "Oh, we were in a fight," and I'm like, it was a grappling match, but it was a competitive match. Yeah, it was good.
I mean, for sure. But I think the most hilarious part to me, and maybe everybody that was watching, was the moment they had someone run out and then put a Band-Aid on you. That was the most unsecure Band-Aid I've ever seen in the history of Band-Aids. Yeah. Because you looked at it and I wish I could teach people comedy in the way that it happens in real life. Because the moment you looked at it and saw it was sticking to nothing, you just deadpan to the audience what the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah. And I actually watched it back today, man, and I was looking at it and I was like, you're such an idiot.
But you're not the idiot. The medic team, they literally, there's a whole phrase that we say, I don't know if you guys say it over on your side of the world, but they say oh, you need to put a Band-Aid on that. And usually it's just a way of getting around something very quickly. It's not that literal until that moment when I go, oh, Jesus Christ. And I'm pretty sure I had the same thought you did, which was, don't you dare let this hinder this hot fire match.
Yeah, well, obviously we got straight back into it, and at the time for me, it was just go. When I watched the match back, I'm actually trying to deal with it flapping on my face whilst I'm trying to deal with crowds and guards, So after a minute, I think it's got thrown off to the side.
So okay, we have a lot of ground to cover here because I know in particular something that I think will give people a little bit of idea of what you were going through. So you had an injury that took you out of a match that was going to be with Nicky Ryan. And even the last time we talked, that was a match that you were kind of floating out there to say hey, I'd be interested. I know he's good. I feel like I would bring something crazy. What happened?
So I was pretty actually rough year last year as a whole. I had a bunch of good matches, obviously with Imanari, Ben Eddy, Frank Rosenthal. But actually for the whole year I was in plaster on my arm, and I actually cut my own plaster off. Like I think it was 5 times in total, and I think the smallest amount of time frame I had between cutting it off in a match was like 4 days. And I think the longest was potentially 3 weeks. So all of last year, I was kind of running on like below a full camp and way below optimal training for a competitive match. And then just to add a bigger blow to it, when I started coming into my camp for the 8-man Kasai tournament and the Nicky Ryan match, I found I had a disc bulge in my neck because I was getting numbness in my arms just relentlessly all the time. I tried to go like down to like training one day and then 1 day off, or like 1 day on, 2 days off. But as soon as I trained, I just like my whole upper body was shutting down on me. So I had to, I had to pull out of both those matches, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame because I really feel like especially the Kasai 8-man tournament, I think I really could have done well in that rule set on that evening, because I watched the whole thing and I thought I could have brought a lot to that tournament. And then with the Nicky match, I think one thing I have noticed, and one thing that a few people have messaged me saying, is that they're surprised at how much I'm willing to try and go forward against these guys and attempt to pass and attempt to continue to play my game even under the threat of their attacks. And that's one thing I do believe. Like I'm no way am I sitting here saying I'm gonna just come in and beat someone like Nicky. There's no way that's gonna be a crazy statement to make. But the one thing I do believe I would do is I'd get off my knees. I wouldn't like sit there and just palm him off or slap him around. I would be trying to pass. I'd be getting up. I'd be trying to push on him. But Jay,
Sorry. My mic cut out for a split second. No, that I was wondering, did that seem to be the consensus you were getting from, say, a match that happened later in the day? Because there was a nice tweet from Gary, and Gary's not usually very funny, but Gary did have a very funny tweet, which was, "Congratulations to Nicky, who won his first MMA fight." And, I mean, we've talked about this before, where you really can't underestimate the kid. Like, Nicky Ryan is a phenom. He's amazing. You have to go in there hyper competitive. And that was what I think Uriah was doing. But Uriah's form of competitive is basically like his club and dig might as well be a body blow for that child. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I've seen a trend of it in general when guys are fighting, especially like proficient leg lockers. For example, Craig Jones, I believe, has struggled to get someone kind of an adversary that's willing to engage in his guard and try to beat the system that he's playing. So a few of his matches have resulted in kind of being like non-spectator friendly, and that's kind of where I stand on professional jiu-jitsu, is that it's only really as professional as it is spectator friendly. So it takes two guys to make the match, and I believe if Nicky's on the mat and I'm on the mat, it could be a bad night for me. I don't know, but all I know is that it will be spectator friendly, and I will go out there and I will push as hard as I can.
Here's what I want to know, because it would seem odd that when you did get healthy, you wouldn't get an instantaneous match. At least, at the very core, you understand maybe they found him a dance partner. I know Uriah they said on the broadcast, the arrival of one of his kids. So, okay, sure, scheduling doesn't work. Have they mentioned if the matches just dropped altogether, or do they not seem to be interested in it? Because to me, that seems like a match to make, or at least consider if you guys are in the same realm. And personally, I mean, now that he's got the shine from beating Uriah, like, mission accomplished. You got the extra views, or you got the making a star out of him continuously that we're trying to build him up. But what is the response there? Because I don't know.
I was a bit frustrated because when I came back after Christmas, I kind of asked them when the next show was going to be, and I said that obviously I would be um, preparing myself as physically able as I could in my injured condition, that if there was a show and they kind of decide when the date is, that I would give them a yes or no straight away whether I was physically able to make that date. And they kind of give me a verbal agreement there and then saying, don't worry, you are next in line. Jimmy, you're next in line to face Nikki for the 145 title, which I was excited about. And then I was actually in Australia teaching, and my phone just started like blowing up in the middle of the night, and people were like, oh, how do you feel about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about that? And I was like, what are they chatting about? And I kind of opened my phone, and they announced the match, Uriah against Nikki. So obviously I immediately I messaged some of the guys over at Polaris, and I was like, oh look, I don't really understand the situation, because I felt like you said I could have that match. From their point of view, I totally understand it. You know, they said with UFC Fight Pass kind of deal, it's one of the routes they're trying to go down of getting MMA fighters involved, etc., etc., especially someone of Uriah's caliber.
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of see why it was tasty for them. I don't believe it's a particularly spectacular match for the fans. To be honest, even though they were building the hype around it, and the fact that Uriah is a much stronger and more developed person than someone like Nikki, but Nikki's skill set is through the roof, like crazy for his age. It's just insane. Everything that guy can do is nuts, and I feel like someone is going to try and beat him at jiu-jitsu, and Uriah wasn't going to do that anyway. So the match didn't really make sense to me, but as an organization, I can see why it made sense for them. But they have said that I do believe the next match that makes sense for them is myself and Nikki. It's all dependent now on weight, because obviously he's a champ at 145, I'm at 155. I'm actually looking to go back down to 145. I want to go back down there, and I have potentially heard that Nikki's actually looking to come up weight. So I don't really know what's going to happen, but potentially a match at 155, 150, or kind of we both swap and we get different matches. I don't know, but me and Nikki are going to run into each other at some point, aren't we?
Okay, I wasn't sure what exactly the situation was there, because I think to myself, and no offense to the guys at Polaris, but when I heard them say, you guys won't wait till you hear this match, and I go, okay, well, what's the match? And they go, Nikki. And I was like, well, it should be you. And they go, versus Uriah. And I go, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And it's not an offense, because I want Uriah in grappling. He had a great match against, I think, one of the Meow brothers at Submission Underground, which,
for sure,
fine,
yep.
Totally understand it. That's my dog. She's going crazy. We'll bring her in the show to shame her in a minute, but that's not important. What it's important is that when I heard it, no disrespect to either of those people involved, I just wasn't interested. But as you mentioned, from a business standpoint, I understand. It's a big name.
Yep.
Everybody's going to benefit in that way. I just want to hear the phrase, you getting the next shot in, or down the line, then one of these next couple Polarises, is something that we need to make sure that's happening. Because, honestly, dude, unfortunately, as I was watching it, I was very entertained by this Polaris. I was very, very happy. And I will give some credit. The match with Nikki and Uriah was a little bit better than I thought it would be. But
Yep.
I still didn't think it was, captivating. Like, when people asked what to watch from Polaris, I said your match. And I said, hey, that's a great, great match. Like, I think that is Polaris firing at all cylinders. But we'll get into that. And maybe I'm willing to concede that Nikki not being available at this one gave us Ethan, which was a better match for you this go round, at least.
Yeah. Granted, I think that's fair as well. Ethan is definitely a great match for myself, and I think the show came together actually quite nicely in terms of the different kind of styles they had on the card, and it did sound, and a lot of people did say that it was a very exciting show this time. So I was happy with that. That's always good to hear.
Absolutely. And, somebody's got to pick up the slack for that hack Craig Jones, because, at this point, we're just kind of like, are you going to heel hook in 5 minutes, or are we going to be here for 15 doing nothing?
But I went for Craig. I went for food with Craig after, and I was like, "Oh man, I missed your match. How did it go?" And he was like, "It was another one of them." And I was like, "No, no."
we brought on Craig on Verbal Tap after his match with Polaris, and I dubbed it the Craig Jones Apology Tour. Like I dubbed it like, hey man, you got to come on our show and you got to apologize to every person. And Craig has such a great sense of humor. He was just like, yeah, I'm sorry, and
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's good.
I wish I were better, but I wasn't. He was fat and maybe on steroids. I don't really know. And it's just like he's such good natured about it. But then he's had a couple of these matches, as you mentioned, where you're just kind of like, they're either done at Submission Underground and they're so unevenly matched in 8 seconds
Yes.
where you go, yeah, I wasn't excited about that, but good for him. It's an easy night. But on the other side, I'm just like, what can you do differently? Because you have to find somebody who's going to be just as batshit as him to go there, which oddly is why him versus Tex Johnson is like.
I was just about to say, man, that Tex Johnson match could be fireworks.
And I mean, we've seen it at ABI before, and I know Tex wants to get that one back, but like Tex is somebody who's just like, I'm crazy too, and let's just do it. And I'm like, yep, let them go.
Yeah. I totally agree, man. Like, Craig just needs that opponent who is either just gonna disregard him like as a leg locker and just come at him, or someone who is just gonna have a shootout with him, and fight fire with fire. So that match should be. I'm actually super excited about that match. It should be really good.
So let's talk about this. Okay, so I want you to walk me through the minute that they did call you about you getting Ethan. How did that come together?
So it's probably about. I think it was 5 weeks before the show. So I was sitting there and I was looking at my calendar and I was like counting the weekends. I was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I was like, no, I can't be 5 weeks away, man. That's no time at all. And I was like, let me check the date again. They told me the date and I was like 1, 2, 3. I was like, that's 5 weeks of training. I was like, Ethan's a super, super tough guy. He's he's physical, he's athletic, and he's very, very dangerous. And weirdly, he's dangerous where I'm kind of the weakest. When people get to my back, I do suffer with the ability to escape under the pressure, in particular when I'm on the stage. So I was kind of like sitting there. I said to them, "Give me 24 hours. Let me sit down with my coaches, see what they think, and let me just have a little, just let me have a little day just to get that together in my head, because I wanted to return to the mats and I wanted a big match, but I didn't want to return to the mat and get my ass whooped,
Yeah, sure.
I was like, I've been out for 9 months, no matches, nothing competitive, and all of a sudden it was going to be from like 0 to 100, and like, my brother and Chris, I kind of sat with them, and my brother did a bit of research. He looked at the guy, kind of went through where he believes I could have won the match or where I was going to lose the match, and we kind of just sat down and went, you know what? It's just go time, innit? It's just, let's just roll the dice, just get back on the stage, and until I lock up with these guys again, I'm not going to realise where I lost, where I kind of lost out or where I was. So I just messaged them back and I said, you know what? Yeah, why not? Let's just scrap it out. I'm sure it'll be a good one, and let's just hope he doesn't take my back.
Okay, because that's tough. He's somebody that that if he does get to the back, he's put in enough time and reps there that's kind of his moneymaker. That rear naked choke and that face crank of his are two things that I've never experienced and I would never like to experience. So,
man, I went down to the gym with my brother like straight away, and I was like, right, what was this? What was Ethan's kind of jam? What's he do? And he goes, watch this now, and he just gets on my back, puts the body triangle on, and he just starts going, boom, boom, with his arms. He just smashing me in the face, and I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, this is what Ethan's gonna do to you.
and for real though, but like Ethan is a grand competitor. Like he's, it's funny. I feel like the best part that you can always say about the Danaher Death Squad is that they get known for one thing or two, but a lot of them really do have versatile games, and so that's easy to duck under. So sometimes it's easy to lose sense of like, that's the dude who became famous at trials for breaking someone's arm.
Yes.
Like he goes hard. So
Yep.
He's that guy. On the same side, like, but if you're a betting man, and I'm a gambler at heart, I look at that and I go, all day, every day, everybody takes my back to begin camp. So I'm very much in the same realm of understanding, like, no, that's a good place to start, my friend.
Yeah, so we just looked at some of the methods he uses to take the back. He's got a particular one from when you attack outside Ashley on him that he likes, and we drilled that to death, to be honest. We didn't do much like work on like starting on my back and me escaping. We did more so like everyone in the gym's like just primary focus was wherever they were was just get to my back, so and every time I made a mistake on my back or caught, we kind of stopped, analysed the situation of how it happened, and we tried to start putting a game plan together, of how I could strategically approach the match.
Yeah, and again, this is something that I'm intrigued to ask, just because, I when you came out here to visit, one of the things that I really liked about talking to you is hearing your process, because like I'm not good at jiu-jitsu, but I understand the mechanics of it, and I like thinking about it in that chess way. And I really liked hearing you break down and watching you watch other people grapple and describe it and explain it. And I thought it was really, really unique. So, did the match meet what your expectations of what he was going to do was? And what, if anything, surprised you about the way that you were responding in that match?
So like I actually I watched a few different interviews from people with regards to Ethan and some stuff they said about him, and I actually in some of my own interviews with some people were asking me, they're like, oh, he's part of the Dan Hess squad, are you worried about leg locks, etc. It seems like you just said, like those guys are versatile everywhere. They've got a full rounded game. They're dangerous from a lot of positions. Obviously Ethan's goal is to use those different dangerous positions to then eventually get to your back and submit you. So I got my brother's kind of the lead tactician in my camp over the last 18 months. He's been doing a lot of the research for me and searching for my guys and kind of giving me drills to do, on my case all the time and making me work with people. So what we did a lot of is my brother would do the techniques on someone so I could watch how he was going for it, and then the drilling partner he was with would actually attack me with that same attack, and then I would say out loud kind of like what I was thinking in my head of the right option or wrong option was, and then we kind of just started to cancel out what was a good option and bad option. Like if he had this grip, then just don't take this exit route. If he had this grip, then this is probably the best chance you've got of getting yourself safe. We kind of went for an if in doubt, get you back to the mat as well. There's a few bailout plans we had. I didn't really have to execute any in case shit scenarios really in the match. I wasn't in good positions, sometimes, which wasn't fantastic. But with regards to some of the back takes, I was actually I felt quite comfortable through the match in that respect, because of how much we had drilled the process.
Let me ask this, because I'm still becoming familiar with this, so it's a little odd for us to have a 15-minute match that's scored in 3 different rounds, which is like, are you prepping in a different way for that? Are you, because it's like with ADCC, it's like, okay, wrestle, okay, now you're done wrestling, now points. It's just a different beast that you're training for. So is that something that you guys were like, oh, 5 minutes have happened, round 2?
Okay, so this is actually it was a big part of my game plan for this match and the camp as a whole. It was actually one of the things that I think was a one of the things that maybe made the decision tip in my scale, even though I'd like to talk about the decision a little bit in detail afterwards, was the fact that obviously it's not a 15-minute round, it's 3 5-minute rounds. And so we trained a lot of, I would have a fresh partner every 5-minute round, and my goal was to win every single round. Now, obviously, I knew I only had to win 2 out of the 3 rounds to win the match. And weirdly, though it didn't look like it at all, my plan was to actually kill the first 5 minutes. My game plan in the gym was to come out really slow, work my tempo up, and then as minute 4:30 was coming in, that's when I was going to start really going for the pace, so I could come out with the first round hard and start the second round on top. And what actually happened was I got in there. Ethan looked just game. Ethan looked like he just wanted to throw down, and I was like, oh shit, there's no time I'm gonna go. We're not gonna get through 3 or 4 minutes. There's no way. Like, I know I'm gonna have to go right now, and that's what actually threw me. That's what there was like a minute 7, 8, 9 of the match where Ethan was just destroying my life. Really, I'm making it a hard night for me. He passed, he got mount, and yeah, that wasn't the game plan, to be honest. I wanted to get more time out of the way and then go and put my pace on the match, but it just turned out from minute 1 that it was just goal time.
Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, in theory, wish I could have instructed you to have the same thing, but it's intriguing to know that that's how it goes. When you're doing it, though, do you have people yelling out 5 minutes or 10 minutes? Because to me, it feels, especially in a very close match, doesn't it just feel like one giant round where you're like, fuck, I don't know if I'm winning or losing like this right now.
So I kind of knew I'd won the first 5 minutes. I believe I had anyway, because I felt like I've got to watch it back again. But I think there was a takedown and like a few good guard pass attempts. None really, I think, that was solidified, but a few good attempts. I got good pressure on him throughout that round. So what we did in camp is that, say I was in a 5-minute round and it was my second 5-minute round with one of the boys down my gym, is my corner would just be like, okay, so you one pass up, there's 4 minutes left of the round, let's try and get a submission attempt off, let's get the judges making sure they're watching you and make sure they know that you're ahead in this round. And then if, for example, the guy swept me, then they'd be like, okay, we have to put the sweep back now because we have to make sure the judges are back on your side for this round. So we were very, very aware of the round format, and we did train specifically for that. Not to say that I want to just do jiu-jitsu and push the pace and win matches and get the submission. That's always the goal, but I do feel like you still have to be competent within the rule set, and if you need to win within the rule set, that's what you need to do.
And that I think proved itself. Did you get some pushback? Because here's what I want to say. At the very end of the match, you were hype, you were crazy, you were yelling at the audience, and you got that kind of adrenaline that you can only get in a match that you can feel be something that you're going to be remembered by. But you also, when they had the decision, were pointing at him. Did you think in that moment that he had won, and why did you think that?
So I knew I'd won the first 5, and then the second 5, what happened is I kind of hit a kind of a physical wall. My head was still very much in the match, and I was like, right, we're gonna go again. We're gonna go, and my arms were just going, nah, bro, it's not happening. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was on bottom, and I was trying to sit up on my chest, my arms, nothing wanted to work, and I was like, what are you doing to me, man? This is a big moment in our life. We gotta get going, And so, but I could see the clock on my right hand side. I could see it out of the corner of my eyes, and it was on like minute 6, then minute 7, then minute 8, and by minute 8, I was like, right, even if I push really hard now, I've still lost the round. So I actually just, for minute 9, 10. I actually cruised because I was trying to get back some energy because I knew I needed to win the third round, because I'd lost the majority of the second round. I couldn't have brought that back anyway unless I got a super tight submission attempt on him or submit him, and I hadn't really got a deep submission attempt up until that point. So I thought, right, when round 3 comes now, as soon as I get my opportunity to get back on top, I am gonna go. And we got stood back up because of the eye. Then I achieved a takedown, which I was super happy with. I just one of the takedowns I've been working on tons over the last few weeks, and I just managed to maintain more top pressure, I believe, in that last 5 than he did. He had a few scramble back attempts which I thought were good, but they always resulted with me coming back on the top and trying to force my game on him again. And that's when, like, I just couldn't, like, at the end of the 15 minutes. I was like, man, it's 9 months out. I've come back, and I feel like the crowd's fired up, and I was like, I must have just put on a wicked. You know, we must have put on just such a good match, and I was just feeling the energy in the room, you know. And then when I was sitting there thinking about it, I was like, oh shit, man, I haven't been passed in like a year. I haven't been mounted in like a year, and Ethan just did both those things, and I was like, I think I fucked it. I think I've lost. I was like, I think I messed up, and I had some guys in the audience were kind of like pointing back and forth, and a few guys were like nudging towards Ethan. And I was like, yeah, maybe I think this guy might have it too. Like, man, you could tell I was so happy I got the decision, you know. And actually, when I've looked back at the match, I can see why I got the decision. But you know, when you're that fatigued and there's so much adrenaline going through, Ethan would have been a worthy winner. With the performance he put in as well, you know, like he put on a solid performance, like, and I think the two of us, you know, at the end of the day, I hate it's a bit of a corny rubbish line, but I do feel like the fans kind of won on this one, you know, like we both really put everything on those mats that we could have, really, and the pace was super high for 15 minutes, and as a spectator for that match, I don't really think you could have asked for more, apart from maybe a few deeper submissions with some riskier escapes. But yeah, like, I game planned hard, and I was like, man, I know this guy is just world level, and I didn't know after 9 months off if I was still in that mix. And when I finished the 15, man, my just whole body was just like, oh, man, we've done it. We've not just made it through. We didn't just survive or course, you know. We implemented our game. We pushed, and I was just super happy.
Of course, and kudos to you, dude. You like so I have a couple comments on this. Number one, I'm conflicted in this sense. I love pure moments from athletes. They're so hard. When it's manufactured, it feels ridiculous. But what you were expressing on there was legitimate, like, I know you. I know that's how you felt. And you could feel every one of those 9 months when you were expressing yourself and you're walking around like, that was a good match. Like, looking around, like, talking to individual people in the audience. Like, that was good. Like, that was good. You like that, right?
Yeah.
And when you got to that point and you're pointing there, the other reason why I'm conflicted is that honesty is you being like, I don't know, maybe he did win, so I'm going to point and be a good sport. Wait, I won? So I felt like we went through all of the emotions within a short amount of time, and I don't begrudge you any of that. I would make a recommendation, which is don't point.
Yeah, I've been told this by almost everyone. And
Okay.
I understand why, and like, it's just hard when you're on that stage, you know, to control everything that's going through your head. Like, I'm super hard on myself. I'm super critical. Once I finish a match, I'm always like, oh man, I should have done this. I should have done that. Why was I lazy at this point? Why was I lazy at that point? You know, and I think I was just actually giving myself a hard time, potentially for no reason, because again, like, everyone did seem to enjoy the match. I've had tons of messages off people all around the world saying that they loved it, and it was one of the most exciting matches they've seen and stuff, you know. And I'm going to watch it back, analyze myself, and make sure that I make the improvements. But I will definitely try to improve on my post-match game.
Yeah, that's the one I can help you with, because I'll tell you this much: there have been a lot of rounds, and you know, I am known for having some decent defense. So sometimes people are like, man, Raph, you've got great defense. And I'll have this poker face in the round and be like, thank you very much. But when I go home, I'm like, no, what you're really saying, and I can't say back to you, is I fucked up everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm on the like, I don't show up to just go on the defensive. But I have this poker face that's always like, I'm fine. Then meanwhile, like, I get home and I was like, none of that was fine. I was in trouble for 10 minutes straight. Like, no. So that's something I feel I can loan to you, which is like, you know, just there's a little method. There's the bite the lip, you know, kind of a thing where you just wait there, you know, like, just find this little corner and just be like,
There was a part of me that thought that I could have won that I could have
lost it,
get my hand raised, and I could have I was just juggling in my head. I was like, I won the first 5, then he won his first 5, and then I was like, oh, how many minutes was he this in this position for, on this time, and this, and I was trying to break down the rounds to try to see what I would have seen if I was a judge, um, and yeah, it was just like everything. Like I was just after 9 months being off, I was overwhelmed
You
even
were
with
you were
just
feeling everything you were feeling from that. But
yeah.
I guess now that you've said that you've rewatched it though, what about it did you find that maybe either solidified what you were initially thinking but were nervous to say and be too like seem too cocky or just you want to be a good
Yep.
sportsman, so I do understand that. But what about it made you more like resolute in saying, yeah, you know what, I did win that?
So it's again, like I do believe either way, and I know like I've seen some posts online about some strong opinions on
You mean like from
uh,
Gordon?
yeah, like that man. The first thing I saw was like BJ World TV, I think, put like comment on Instagram saying, and like the next four comments were straight up like he was robbed. What type of judges have you got? Blah, and I was like, oh, like can anyone just say like that was a sick match? Do you know what I mean? What can anyone just say like that was cool? You know? So,
You don't know the internet that well. The internet's full of
no,
shit, guy.
exactly. Yeah, so I just like I watched the match back today, and obviously like watching myself get crushed isn't the most fun. But then I pulled off some pretty nice techniques. Someone's already broken down one of the techniques I actually hit on Saturday from the single leg X. To a normal platter sweep, so that's really cool. You know, just elements of my game that are kind of they're in the bank, like they're there, but I haven't been able up until this point really to be hitting them in tournament as smoothly as I maybe want to. But I really felt like this match there was elements of kind of like world class jiu-jitsu coming through, but then some points where I just got a little bit lazy, a little bit sloppy. And I was watching the match and watching the clock, and that was a big difference of when I watched it back as to how long kind of I was putting the pressure on compared to the pressure being put on me. You know, I finished the last 30 seconds with, I kind of went for a really bad takedown actually, and Ethan came into a crush position, which I managed to actually sweep and then get a relatively good pass attempt off of on. So I finished strong as well, and that's obviously a big thing when it comes to judging criteria. You know, because if you go on your scorecard one apiece, and it's coming down to that last round, I do feel like the guy who kind of finishes the round the strongest might have the kind of last say. So yeah, when I watch it back, I feel like yeah, I definitely deserved the win.
Okay. Do you still feel the same way about how epic Fire was? Like, do you have an out of body experience when you look at yourself and you go, "Oh, that was me"? Because as a fan of
Um,
jiu-jitsu, there's definitely times when you look at a match and you're like, "Oh man, somebody else did that and that's insane." But you seem like somebody who might be like, "Oh, right."
Yeah, I'm still being tagged in videos and stuff of when I get my hand raised and like my eyes are lit up and like I'm like you can tell that I'm so pumped and I'm like, man, that was you on that stage. I mean, like I don't know, like it's a big stage to be on. It's a big match to have. There's a lot of talk being about it, and um, I am just super. I was more happy to be back competing. That was the
Sure.
big thing for me, man. It's just being back and proving to everyone that I can compete at that level. And to win, you could just see it, man. I was overwhelmed with emotion, so yeah, it was crazy.
Did you guys get to chat afterwards? Did you and Ethan get a moment to chat? And if so, what did you guys say to each other?
Um, I just said to Ethan, man, that I just felt like he was. I think the words I used was a beast or was a monster or something like that, man. And I just said that I just thanked him for bringing the kind of the fire for the 15 as well, you know, because I don't like to be in boring matches. If you've seen like any of my EBI matches, you know, any match really that I've been in the last year and a half, the pace is always quite high for the whole duration. There's a lot of scrambles, a lot of movement, a lot of pressure, and Ethan gave as good as he got, you know, and he made the match what it was as well. So I just thanked him and said, man, I'd love to get some training with you at some point, just because um, you know I do feel it's nice that I got a lot of respect for all these guys and the level they're at, and it's obviously a level that I've aspired to be myself. And you know, I feel like sometimes when you're in the training room, potentially your games come out more, and you can really get a good feel for what the other person is capable of. So he seemed super humble and super nice about it. I don't know, he might have gone backstage and just sworn abuse and hated me. I'm not sure, but he seemed super cool about it. So as good as someone could be off the back of such a tight loss. So I was happy with it.
I would say this, knowing Ethan the way that I do, I would think the extent of his mania or crazy, if you would just be the hyper competitiveness of, man, I wanted to win. But other than that, I would know just from the times that we've interacted and his general persona afterwards. He's always super cordial and super appreciative to all of his opponents, and I've seen him say wonderful things about people when we're off air, and I've done interviews with him, and I think there is a deep level of respect that I'm sure he has very similarly for you.
Yeah, I probably agree. I saw, I posted one on my Instagram story after the match, and one of the bookie kind of recommendations was Ethan's gonna kill this guy. Put your money on him because it's an easy win. And I was like, I don't understand why people are sleeping on me, or why there's why there's disrespectful needed. I'm not disrespectful when it comes to my opponents. I got the utmost respect for everyone who competes on the stage, regardless. And I felt like Ethan was the same.
I'll say this, as somebody who again loves gambling, there is an oddness about making odds about people. Ethan is a very solid name, very recognizable, of good pedigree. But the issue with that is if you're a bookie, sometimes you go with safe money because you're just like, well, I don't know how to do the research, and this guy, I've only seen a couple of his things. So to me, that's why if I look at those things, I'm like, ooh, that's a good way to make money. So I like dumb bookies, but it's also part of the reason why, as a journalist, when people ask me and they try to ask who I think is going to win a particular match, I'm usually very measured about, nope, I know both those guys.
Yeah.
Nope, it'll get back to them.
Well, I was actually I was the favorite on the bookies, which I thought was quite peculiar because of the layoff I'd had and the fact that Ethan had been killing it for quite some time, and then that kind of got me kind of a bit fired up because I was like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about this, and then I saw the comments about you should bet on Ethan because it's the safest bet in the world and you're gonna make some good money, and I was like, right, I'm not going on that stage and being lit up, so I was like, I went into the weekend a bit like, right, come on, let's go. I was really up for the match at that point.
That's pretty dope. Well, let's talk about the future, man, because I'm a little sad. You're all the way over there, and I don't travel over to the UK. O2 Arena, all that sort of stuff sounds nice. It's far. Y'all ain't flying for me to get on out there. So I want you to come over stateside. What's coming up next for you, man? What matches do we have lined up for you?
So there's a ton of matches that I would love to get my hands on and that I would like to compete against. There's the Kasai tournaments coming up soon. There's that 135 tournament. There's the 4th of July show they've got. And realistically, being stateside for me, there's far more shows, opportunities to compete on shows. Fight to win of those shows coming up. There's that card coming up soon. It's got Keenan against. Do you know the one I'm on about? Keenan's competing against.
Hold on. The name's escaping me, but I thought, is it Keenan and is Keenan doing one with Craig Jones? Or Keenan has somebody who, I don't know.
Someone who you never thought it would have come up this early on. But yeah, there's just shows in the US all over the place, and kind of I want to be that side, your side of the world, because I can get I think the top 10 in my weight. On the flow grappling rankings, which I don't think I'll ever be on. They've got tons of guys over that side, so it makes sense for me to get over there and try and get the matches in whilst kind of momentum's building up. I think that the next Polaris is the end of August, and obviously that's quite a while away for me. So I want to try and get matches before then. I did have a few UK promoters ask me about matches, in particular about the Frank Rosenthal rematch, because Frank's over this way. But But they were messaging me 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I still haven't had this first match yet. And I was like, look, let me just get one match in the bag, and then let's talk. Let's get things rolling. Because if I'd gone on that stage on Saturday and just got absolutely steamrolled, I'd have to go back to the gym and get the work back in. I'd have to get back at that level. But I'm ready to go now. So any promoters, I'd love a chance to get on any stage and kind of do what I do. And obviously there is still that last spot on the ADCC roster for the 66 kilo, which I feel like maybe I deserved after the weekend. But I know a lot of other people might see it a different way. It's hard to say. I'm not sure. I think I should be in there. I missed the trials, unfortunately. Due to the injuries, the trials happened in that layover period. Where I was off, so I didn't really get a chance to go and show what I could do. Potentially, I wouldn't mind. Tom Halpin's this side of the water, so I know Tom anyway, and I'd love a match against him because he actually won the qualifiers in Europe. So I might try and get a match against him ASAP, really, to kind of see where things are at.
I enjoy that you're literally doing the pro wrestling side of put your ADCC spot on the line, Tom. Yeah. If I win, then I go to take it. We put the contract up on a ladder, and whoever wins gets to take it.
Man, Tom hit that spot, man, on the day. He's a killer, man. Tom is brilliant. Obviously, Tom only just fought Ethan as well, which makes it, that's what makes it interesting, because the styles make fights.
Absolutely.
And Tom's style, we actually studied that match quite a lot, Tom against Ethan, and the style that Tom almost plays into Ethan's style, because he wants you to scramble for the back take.
Sure.
Same as when Ethan fought Keith Curran at the ADCC trials finals. Again, Ethan just makes you scramble, and as soon as you scramble, he just goes boom and hits it hard. So and then we try to make sure we controlled the scramble as much as we could, and that's why I think a match with Tom might be interesting.
I mean, I like what you're saying here, but you also didn't flat out say no to what I put out there. So I just want to make sure.
No, there's a free spot. I want the free spot. I want the last spot that's available. Yeah, I want the last. I want that last spot.
You take a spot in any way, fashion, because one of the things that I want to do. So with Grappling Hour, we come up with all these things, and it's hard for me to come up with a way to do this. But one of the ideas I've kicked around with my friends is: don't you hate it when you see somebody who wins a gold or wins something, and you're always like, I could take that guy. So I'd love to do a segment where we actually have them bring in the medal and be like, well, let's settle this right here. There's nothing more that I want to do than bring out the people who hate getting double third and being like, I know they didn't have time, but I've got time. I'm happy to put that together. So at Worlds this year, I might just be like, hey, come here. We've got some practice mats. Let's just put that out.
The way I feel about the highest level is the fact that obviously any guy can have their day. Yeah. So on one given day it might be my goal, and on the next given day it might be your goal. And it does matter who turns up and who performs on the day, and that's what really is key at the big level. I don't know if you noticed, I don't know if you saw, but AJ Agzam actually sent me a message to let me know I suck, which was brilliant, which is out of the blue. I don't know what's happened to it, and I saw John Carlstein made a comment about that he can make 155 and let Polaris know. So I don't know. It's just a pretty crazy situation to be in.
Okay, so here's what I enjoy. It's funny. I actually did screenshot that because I
Oh yeah.
Well, I do my research and I have the capability of putting those things on here. I'm just so intrigued by AJ, where I was like, oh, AJ, I thought you were changing the game in MMA, so I didn't know if you had time for us lowly grapplers anymore.
Yeah.
All with your 0-0 record. But I want to make sure, though, that when we are talking about AJ and he does send you a note that you suck, I want to be like, AJ, when was the last time you won in grappling again?
Well, he actually he followed it up with another nice little message. Let me know that my countrymen are ashamed of me and they should ban me from living here. And I'm pretty sure he's assuming England, which would be wrong anyway because I'm from Wales.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's not really a match that interests me, to be honest. I've fought AJ already in IBJF. He beat me on score. I'm not really surprised. He's very, very good at winning on score. That's what he does, and he's a fantastic high level points fighter. And yes, he will fight anyone in submission only, which my hat off to him again. But that doesn't make him an exciting fighter. Doing like not getting submitted for 10 minutes doesn't make you exciting. I don't understand. That's not the goal in a sub grappling match. So I don't really know why he's messing with me. We're not even friends on Facebook, so he must have literally found me just to let me know I suck.
He has a lot of free time, dude. I don't know if you get this
Yeah.
about him. The thing that I laugh about though with AJ is like he will chat with me. So like we all understand the heel persona, and as somebody who is an actual pro wrestling fan, I'm usually like, oh, I know that line. Yeah, I know where you lifted
Yeah.
that from. That's cute. But then when he's like still in character and he's messaging you, like he's done that to me
Yeah.
too, and he just sends me a message that's like still in character, and I'm like, you can drop it. Just
No
be
one even
normal.
talks like that. No one even says you
Well,
countrymen are ashamed of it. That's
But I'm
ridiculous.
just, but the thing is like it's an extension of him going over,
Yeah.
and then from Polaris being like, "Boo me!" Yeah, and he's
Yeah, he loves it. Yeah,
I
he
get
does.
it.
He loves playing the villain.
He
Yeah.
gets off on it. You know what I mean? Like if that's something that entertains you, cool. It's just funny to me because I'm always like, AJ, I know you. We've chatted. We're fine, but you're also a giant ridiculous douchebag sometimes.
Well, shit, man. I every time someone talks to me about him ever in the past, I'm always like, man, you gotta respect the guy. He's phenomenal grappler. He's a super high level athlete. Like he's no joke. Like if you think just because he monkeys around online that he's an idiot on the mat, he's not. I'd like to see him compete more, and he doesn't compete really that frequently. Obviously, he's started MMA, and off to a flying start. So who knows? Who knows what he's going to. But as I said, I just want any match. Any match will do, man. Like I want to stay active. And my goal always is just to make sure that we're moving in the right direction and that the spectator sport
Here's the good news.
stay spectator friendly.
I do know that AJ does tune into this on occasion. And so the nice part is I'm always like, I have a policy, which is I'll say exactly what I say on here to you. So it usually just cuts the middleman. I'm like, you heard what I said. And he's usually just like, how's my favorite podcast? And I was like, I'm still great. You're, you know. So I enjoy doing that. Well, dude, let's try and get you on some shows. Because I would love to see you on, like, Kasai. I would love to see you on that. I know that's July 4th. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I know. Have you mentioned did you say Fight to Win or what? What are you looking at? Because I know you're looking at different areas who have different titles. I know you're playing for the ADCC spot as well.
Yeah, the problem I have is obviously a lot of the shows in America, like the application process is based on selling tickets, which and being in a resident where the show is.
Yeah.
I'm not even asking. I'm not even messaging saying fly me out there, put me up for a week. I'm just saying, look, just give me a stage to perform on. If I got to get my way out there, I'll get my way out there. It doesn't matter to me. I just want the matches. Do you mean the best way for me to raise my profile and continue to do so is to keep putting myself on the stage. Fight to Win, I'd love to get on there, but I've done their application process 10 times, and every time I say I can't sell tickets, I can't sell tickets, dude. But what I can do is I can give you an exciting match. I will come on the stage and I'll push. Do you know what I mean? I feel like obviously I've been in contact. Actually, Rich Byrne from Kasai messaged me to say well done on the match, which I thought was really, really cool. So I'm hoping that the performance kind of got me a shot on that July 4th card. If not their 135 tournament they got coming up. But again, if I wait till the 135 tournament, that's August. I still want to try and get in before that. Fight to Win have always got shows coming up. So yeah, let's just get. I just want to get stateside and get competing. There's not enough. The guys my weight don't really want to come across the pond as much. The UK promoters have told me, man, they've just said the money they ask for is either too much, or they just said they're not really interested in coming across. So it's a bit of a shame, but I definitely think I'll have another few good matches in the next 2-3 months.
Because I mean, like I said, dude, it was a wonderful coincidence that you were able to come out to the LA Jiu-Jitsu Club, and we got to spend some time talking, and I got to see you do your seminar, and I think you're not just a great interview, but I mean you're a good grappler. Obviously we got to see that this weekend, so that was, I think, honestly was great for me sitting at home. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I know both you and Ethan. I knew you guys would bring a great match, and to have it hit the expectations and go beyond it was something that I was glad I got to see, but I was just actually happier for you, which is why I immediately, I sent a note to you like 2 seconds after you won, being
You
like,
did,
"Shut
yeah.
up! I don't care what you've got going on. We got to chat." Because I'm like, I would have done the same with Ethan for that match. It's
Yeah,
just, it
for
was
sure.
so good, and it's
Yeah,
just, I think
I
it's one
think
of those
that
things we should talk about.
my biggest frustration from the match probably is the fact that I feel like, um, again, I was just like just overlooked, as if like I was going to be a walk in the park, and um, especially obviously Gordon's comment about the fact that Ethan should have just submitted me. Um, I don't understand. Like I don't know what else what the guys want me to do to prove that I'm at a good level. Um, like I
Here's
don't know.
well, okay, but here's the nice part about Gordon and AJ share some DNA, which is they just like to just sprinkle some shit starting on whatever's going on. And the weird part to me with Gordon is watching the evolution into him. He's only what, like 20 some odd years old,
Yeah.
but he speaks like an old man. So he's always like, "You kids, ugh." Back in my day, and I was like, "You're 5 years old, kid. Like, I don't know what you're talking about." And he's like, "This country's not the way it used to be." And I'm like, "Says like according to who?" So I look at him and I just go, "Okay, I know what you're doing too." But there's a whole method behind what they want, and it's a shit
Yeah.
stirring mechanism. And more power to him for Gordon. He's used it to great effect, and so is AJ.
100%.
But when I did
That's
see
what I would
him,
say.
when I did see him say that about you, my first thought is always for somebody who has a coach who is the epitome of anti-emotional. That's an emotional response because that's you looking out for your boy, and it's written
Yeah.
in a hyper emotional way. So it's not to say you can't disagree and be like, "Well, he should have won that match," but it's the way in which he writes it that I go, "Yeah, you're 23."
Yeah, I can see how people would say like the decision should have gone the other way. Cool, but like I don't understand why they hate, and why. Most of the I just feel like what like I've proved myself a little bit at that level, and Ethan's a very very big win for me. So at some point, Studio Jiu-Jitsu is going to take it seriously that I'm here to compete.
Yeah. Well, I think you've made a great statement, and I will not be surprised if a smart booker decides to put you on some shows. So I would be very, very happy about that. Before I let you go, can we go ahead and take care of some sponsors, dude? Because I know those sponsors didn't see you compete for a few months. So it's always great if we can say their names and say thank you. Maybe even to the one you're wearing right there.
Oh man, this is the only thing I'm repping. Tatami, Canavit have been helping me out a little bit with some CBD back here, which has been brilliant. Obviously, they support Polaris. Mainly, I'm just more grateful to just the promoters of those shows that get me on there and let me do my thing. And obviously just my family, my brother who's my coach and pushed me to the next level in my gym. And yeah, just everyone who kind of helps me get to where I'm at.
And your brother is highly, highly underrated as well. So I love the fact that you guys get to bond and do this. I think that's so dope.
Man, it's insane because he's kind of like a sleeping talent that just the world's not going to know about. If he got down to 70 kilos and got athletic, I'd be in trouble anyway because I'd be out of a job.
I love that. Well, listen, dude, I just want to say thank you for staying up. I know it's super late where you are, and I appreciate you coming on the show. It's always good catching up with you, and I really, really hope that we get to see you sooner than later, man. But just know that, put maybe a stake on that, or, I mean, all the things that aren't essentially just a giant Nelly Band-Aid.
Oh no, I was hoping we'd go the whole interview without the Nelly thing.
Why? Because it was such a good joke during the broadcast.
Yeah, some of the lads back home, as soon as they share, they can just share it saying Ash Nelly Williams. And I was like, nah, this can't happen.
What's so funny is like when you hear, like, I know Tom, I don't know Dan as well, but I'm familiar with him. But Palmer I know a lot.
Yeah, Josh Palmer, yeah.
And I'm highly critical of him. The other two, not so much. But when I heard the Vlob out there being like, we're taking it old school to Nelly, I'm just like, I'm just going to check out for a minute.
Oh, I couldn't hear that because it was in the commentary. And then when I got back to the hotel, that's where Josh Palmer called me. I was like, ah, I was like, I hope that's not going. That wasn't on the line, like, you know.
I'll tell you this much though. Maybe just for you, I'll rebroadcast the very first Polaris when he walked on the mat with shoes, because I definitely brought him on the show just to yell at him for that, and I was like,
I saw comments on that straight away when I was
mm-hmm.
following it. People were like, Josh Palmer's on the mat with shoes.
I remember, like, that's how we met. Is I was just like, listen, Palmer, you suck really bad for doing that, and he's so nice and huggable, and he's just like, I know I shouldn't have done it, and I was like, yeah, but you did, and you're an idiot. I thought you were a professional. Before we get you on out of here, we did have AJ Reed, who did put in a comment that said, I think your next match should be against Greg Harris.
Oh, that is one of the boys from university. Talking about another one of the boys from university. he's one of the boys I game with. Yeah, he's done like 2 months of jiu-jitsu. I don't think it'd be good.
I mean, you know what, dude? I would still watch that because it'd be fun to watch someone get murdered for a little while. Ash, I'm going to let you get on out of here. Thank you so much for your time, my man.
Sorry, I've just got a quick shot. I'm actually competing next weekend on Grapple Fest. Grapple Fest doesn't get the recognition it deserves in the UK, and I know the promoter Chris Thompson gets proper kind of peeved about the fact that people don't blow it up as much as can. Craig Jones is on there, Lachlan Giles is on there, Ross Nichols is on it. It's going to be a good card. I just couldn't get an international opponent. I've still got a very tough opponent, but I'm just looking forward to getting back out there. So yeah, Grapple Fest, check it out. Yeah.
I literally gave you the opportunity to do this before. I made sure.
Just crossed my mind.
Just a little tip. Okay, again, professional at what I do. Maybe people will remember it a little bit better if you yourself remember it, because you're like, it just doesn't get the recognition. Wait, which one was it again? I don't remember. I forgot it.
It's because I was already booked on that one, but I'm really pumped for this July 4th card. I really want it.
Chris, if you are watching this, I'm sorry. I tried to give him a prompt to remember all of the things he's supposed to do, but I guess Chris will. I'm sure he'll be just fine. Anyway, let's go ahead and get you out of here. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna cut to commercial. However, when we come back, we have a surprise guest before we get to Rich. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We're gonna be right back. We will see you guys in just a second. BRB.
Cheers,
The Grappling Hour is brought to you by Luda Gear, athletic support items created by grapplers for grapplers. Fire Grub Meal Prep done right.
All right, we're back. All right, Ash is out of here. Screw that guy. He doesn't know how to plug his own shit. Get him out of here. We've never done this before because we try to organize things. We try to make sure that everybody who we reach out to is going to be available at certain times. Sometimes things come up and we're not always able to book them. So what I'm doing is I'm doing an actual cold call right this second to go ahead and get on a guest that we were supposed to do an interview with yesterday, and it just didn't happen. So my apologies to him, but guess what? He's driving home back on over to Arizona, and we are very lucky to get him. And if he turns on his video right now, we will be able to show you who this guest is. But he had a big win yesterday night over at Combat Jiu-Jitsu in a very special match. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our good friend, Tony Burchak. Tony, how you doing, sir? Not much. Okay, so let's paint the scene. I want to make sure. I tagged you. I said, hey, I want to do an interview with you. And then here's what happened. They wouldn't let anybody go backstage where my phone was. So they basically cut off the ability to go backstage unless you went around. Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to get to the bar. Like, so am I. Relax.
Okay, I'm so sorry. You were on mute right then and there. I want you to
Oh
just
my.
repeat that story. So to anybody tuning in, no, hold on.
Are
This is
you
my
fucking
Yes,
kidding me?
shut up. It's my fault. I want to make sure that people know that was absolutely my fault. And we do it as a
Mercedes, the phone doesn't go any higher.
So here's what
Go
happened.
ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Here's what happened. I pressed mute because when I transition from guests, I need to make sure I have a moment to double check the sound. I forgot to do that. So Tony was telling you guys the story if you were tuning in. However, it was beautiful mute. I'm sure you could see the expression on his face. However, I would like for you to say what happened because I think it's kind of odd that this lady was being so mean or direct in a bad way to people. So, okay. Tony is now in a place where there is low reception. So I think it's cutting in and out. We're going to work through this, everybody. He's making his way back. It looks like he died in this photo. God damn it. All right. Calling him back. At this point, we're just hoping that the Skype gods are allowing us to have a stronger signal than we need to be able to get through this. There we go. We've got him back again. All right, Tony, press the video if you would, please. Beautiful. Okay.
All right. Are we set
So
now?
this lady, I hope so. So this lady was being a giant yacht face to everybody. What did she do to
Right.
you in particular?
So I was walking back because I wanted to change out and go to the restroom and come back and do my interview. And so she's like, I'm walking towards the restroom. She's like, no, you got to go out the front. And I was like, well, I gotta piss. And I was like, you want me to piss in the front? She's like, I don't know. You're gonna have to do something else. So I walked back to the mat room where we were all getting ready, and she started talking to a couple other people about getting their interviews out of the way and done. And I'm in the back, and I started getting undressed, and she shut the lights off on me. So I shouted, I was like, hey. And she's like, well, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I was trying to get naked in the bathroom. Now I got to get naked in here. And you're telling me I got to, she was like, well, just hurry up. I got to do this. And I was like, all right, so let me get dressed. I ended up getting dressed. And she's like, I'm sorry to be the asshole. I'm trying to get out of here. We close at 10. And I was like, you know what I mean? Like, I understand that, but you got, and you paid for it. You got all this going on. I don't know why you're trying to rush everybody out. We're trying to wrap up our.
Yeah. Okay, you're cutting out just a little bit. I'm going to take a second to just describe what's happening here. There was somebody backstage who was being very rude and uncomplimentary to another, and it was really it was a pain in the ass to a number of us, but it separated myself from Tony. So I was going to do an interview with him. I would have loved to have talked with him after his amazing win, but instead I had to kind of brunt through it, and I had to basically just look around. And at a certain point, I was like, is he still here? And I felt really bad because, honestly, if you saw the match with Tony yesterday, they had a special match right before the finals. You would understand why I wanted to talk with the guy. I mean, he made it look, I don't want to say effortless to be disrespectful to anybody, but in a way it did. And whenever we have those sorts of things, especially if we know the person, we always do our best to try and get in contact with them and bring them on the show as soon as possible. So that's a bitch and a half. And I was very sorry to see that Tony, when we just touched base today, I was like, hey man, what are you doing? And he happened to say that he was driving. So if there is some poor reception, I apologize to our fans in advance. But we do want to try to give him the benefit of the doubt and trying to get him on the line so that we can have a proper chat, because some lady split us up like the Titanic was sinking, and he was one of the peasants who was set to die with Leo DiCaprio. Very sad. Very, very sad moment. All right, so it says that Tony isn't online right now. We're going to give him a moment to come back. But I'm going to paint the scene for you guys a little bit more. So, Tony took this match on 6 days' notice. I don't know if you guys take matches on 6 days' notice. Maybe in the grappling world you might take 1 or 2. But in the slap jitsu world, Not exactly something I'm always looking forward to do myself. So it takes a certain kind of human being to want to take this match. We were very excited to see that he was going to take this match. However, we also knew he might be making a bit of a cut. And this cut was going to go, and I didn't know this until I talked with Tony, like right after the fact, but he cut 22 pounds yesterday for those past 6 days. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're cutting 22
I don't know
pounds,
if we should tell this story, Raph.
well, then we don't have to tell the story, but you cut weight. And I'm just thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, that's fast. So either way, kudos to you for being able to do it. But let's talk about the match in itself. 6 days notice. How did you get the call? How did you get called?
I actually just came off my birthday weekend. May 16th was my birthday. The whole month of May is usually like a drunken blur. My best friend's birthday was May 3rd. Mercedes' birthday is May 6th. My daughter's birthday is May 9th. My birthday is May 16th. Cody's birthday is May 23rd. Dion's birthday is May 21st. Eddie's birthday is May 15th. So it was like just nonstop, right? And like the weekend after my birthday, Mother's Day, all this amazing events where we're eating and drinking and having a good time. Eddie texted me and goes, "Hey, are you ready?" And I was like, "For what?" I was like, "I can be." I mean, I'm like 25 pounds over. And I looked at the scale. I was actually only 22. So I ended up cutting 22 pounds in 5 days. The way that we were talking, I understood that I was in the tournament, and ended up being just a special match, which was super cool. But I definitely want to show what I can do in that tournament and who I can be.
I mean, here's what was, I think, aggravating from a certain sense, which is that if you're a competitor and you're a game competitor like you, it's hard to be a part of something where there's a big tournament going on where you're the same weight, or at least in the play weight, and not see yourself and envision yourself in that tournament.
Well, and that's something that we have just as a 10th Planet crew is look at how many killers we have at 135 and 145. You got Gio, Ben, Eddie, me, and Keith Krikorian. Like, you got so many dudes at that weight. J.M. Holland, Zach Mavlani. You have all these dudes who have been grinding for a lot longer time than I have. And obviously there's seniority and stuff like that. I get it. But you know what I mean? Like, when it comes down to combat jiu-jitsu, obviously I'm biased. You have one of the top bantamweights in the world. Why would you not throw him in? And I think just being able to fire a different set of weapons every single time is crucial for any organization. You have to have a specific tool for each opponent, right? And if you're constantly reaching in your tool, you're not going to miss some. You're going to miss some opportunities when it gets to what you need the screwdriver for, what you need the pliers for. It might be a tool for a specific job, and I think I'm the specific tool for combat jiu-jitsu.
Well, here's the good news. If people were watching yesterday and had any doubt about that, mission accomplished, because I think your match yesterday made a pretty clear statement. You work very well within that rule set.
Yeah, Chewy, dude, I was so proud of Chewy for making it to the finals. We've gone up against each other twice now at Bullpen Submission Series finals. I finished him each time, but, for me to see him go through the tournament and fucking choke out Hideo Takoro, oh my God.
Yeah.
The one thing that I told him, I said, hey, look, man, this is what happened when I fought Kawajiri. I gave him so much respect as a legend in the sport that I forgot that I'm a monster myself. And that ruled the match. I said, don't show Hideo any fucking respect. Go out there and show him what he's capable of, man. And he went out there and he hit that sick-ass Marcelo T-lock from side control. Are you kidding me?
I thought that was really dope because I heard your voice, and Mercedes as well, a number of times coaching your guys. And to me, like it's an additional form of follow through, not just from the 10th Planet family, but also from the people who are bullpen sort of folks that you guys have had in there. That was so refreshing, and I love the fact that right after your match, I saw you right over in the corner, and you were coaching Chewy right after your match.
Yeah. I mean, dude, we do this shit together. You know what I mean? Like, one of the things that bullpen does is it really polarizes everybody that competes at that tournament. And when we see each other down the line, like, I had, Austin Daffron or Gabriel Daffron, he's such a cool dude. You know what I mean? And I hated seeing him take out my teammate Ben Eddy, but I've been watching this kid scrap, and I've seen him beat some big names at big tournaments. We were just out at the On It World Open, and when I was teaching my seminar, I asked, the collective, I was like, do you know who this kid is? And they're like, no. I was like, well, you're going to fucking find out tomorrow. And he took out Brandon Gambucci, who wrestled for Duke. The kid's a legit competitor, you know what I mean? And, but here's the other thing is he couldn't win bullpen. So, we have one of the toughest tournaments in the Southwest, West Coast, and everybody that competes at that tournament, when we see each other at another spot, we all ride for each other, you know what I mean? Or we have that understanding of like, hey, we've been through some shit together. Let's do this. So when Chewy made it to the finals, I told him, I was like, look, dude, we didn't come this far just to come this far. I said, Red's tough. I said, but you got a big ass heart on you. And I just think Chewy, if we run that match back, I think Chewy could get him. I think he needs to work specifically on some EBI overtime tactics that'll definitely change his whole game plan.
I would agree. I mean, they had a very close match, and credit to Red as well. We have him later on the show, so I'm not going to talk shit about him until after I put that interview up. Then I'm going to disown him entirely. But I want to be very clear about Austin, though. Austin, whatever the fuck, like the worst part about whenever he goes up there, I'm like, which name are we supposed to bill you as? Because he has like 5 different names, and it's Duck Jitsu. So I'm always like, I'm going to give this kid so much shit, but he's an endearing kid. I like Austin a lot. Like, I think he's got a lot of talent. I'm so happy that he's somebody who had a good showing yesterday. Here's the thing I'm most happy about, though. Yesterday, like, even though Ben Eddy went out, he got a moment to shine. No one's going to forget that submission at the 10-minute mark. Like, that's the stuff that you wish.
That buzzer beater is like no-gi jiu-jitsu history for sure.
Mm-hmm. So Ben Eddy gets that moment. Austin, Daffron, he gets his moment where he's able to hit that submission a round later. Chewy himself had so much heart, dude. Like, I mean, looking at the way that Rich's back control, he had a very, very solid game plan for him. But, like, Chewy that whole time was defending in areas where it could have gone sour, and it did for a number of other opponents.
Yeah, real quick. And that was the thing is, like, I hate, like, we're all 10th Planet, right? But, like, each of us have a certain coach that we gravitate to and listen to. And I felt bad kind of, like, coaching next to Ruben Rivera because he had a game plan for Chewy for the back escape, and I had a completely different thing. And it's like I'm not a black belt, so I'm obviously anything that goes over, if that's what you should do. But the way that Chewy's built versus how Red was built, you got to look at literally like physical frame and physics. Like he's gonna body triangle him, that. You know what I mean? And one of the easiest ways for me to get out of a body triangle is I'll start turning and belly down and scraping that off because they're going to have to open their legs to follow me belly down.
Yeah.
And when Chewy tried to leg press him and just kind of push back into him, Red just hunkered down and held. Yeah. He was looking to get that 2-minute cook time. So I felt bad, like trying to. We were almost contradicting each other, and maybe as coaches, I should have just shut the fuck up and let him have one game plan rather than confusing him. You know what I mean? But in hindsight, looking back at coaching, there's been 3 matches that I've ever coached for my guys where I was like, man, I should have just shut up and let you do your fucking thing.
It's tough, dude. And honestly, the weird part is that, sometimes when you're a competitor in the actual tournament, you'll actually be harder on yourself than you were if you were in the crowd. because if you were in the crowd, you'd still be yelling out shit too. So
Yeah, for sure.
It's
For sure. And
it's contextual. It's a situation. I understand.
yeah, that's what it was. I just think, because he had asked me initially to coach him, and then I was like, you know what I mean? If you have somebody, I don't want to override them. You know what I mean? I'm not your coach. I know you got some El Paso dudes out. His cousin came, and Ruben Rivera's, Santa Fe black belt that was going to coach him, and I said, I'm going to chime in every once in a while, especially in the wrestling. His wrestling, every time he feinted or faked or hit a knee tap, Red bit so hard. And I was like, we need more of that. And then I could just see that the tournament started adding up on him, and he was tired, man. And like, when you're that tired, you really got to look at, okay, I'm going to really have to squeeze on this choke and try to finish it before it goes to overtime, or I'm going to just ride him out, keep pressure on him, and start thinking about what my overtime tactics are.
Yeah. Either way, still an incredible performance for him. And I actually, it's very funny. Afterwards, my sister and I went to go grab In-N-Out. It's kind of a thing that we'll usually do. And lo and behold, right next to me is PJ Barch with Chewy.
Oh, yeah?
And I look over at them. And first of all, I yell at PJ because I'm like, PJ, I think this is your fault. Like, of all the tables, you're going to pick the one right next to me. And, PJ's too cool for school. So he's just like, oh, God damn it, Raph. Like, come on, man. And I was like, you're sitting next to me. I didn't do this. I'm just here. And I was like, the reason I'm not going out to eat with other people right now, it was very nice that they were inviting me. But when I do press for these things, I also don't eat. So when I don't eat and I finally get food introduced to me, I'm going to eat this in a disgustingly terrible way that I don't want anyone to see. So I want to be
friendships with my eating style.
Dude, I don't want, because I'd like to think that people are like, Raph's a nice guy. He seems like a professional dude, even though he does oh God, he's so gross. That's terrible.
Oh, geez, have you seen Raph eat a burger after a long day? It's disgusting.
The worst is just I had this burger right in front of me, and I'm so nervous. And PJ's just like, no, dude, we're all the same, man. I'm gonna chow down on this burger. We're the same, brother. Like, it's fine. And then all of a sudden, I look over at PJ, and PJ has a protein-style burger. And I look at him and I go, you're not even going to be a real fat kid either.
And not even have bread.
Mm-mm. I was looking at him and I was like,
Don't tell me he eats a hamburger with a knife and a fork, please.
No. I think the East Coast side of him would get tarnished and trashed. But I just couldn't help the fact that I was sitting next to Chewy, and I don't get this opportunity all of the time. But because I was right next to him, I had a very quick opportunity to be like, you know what, dude, I just want to tell you, you're not there yet in terms of seeing your own performance yet. You don't know how to assess it because it just happened. But from where I sit,
his potential is unlimited.
Your stock went so much higher tonight than you know. And it's going to come up in a very, very unique rule set that translates very easily back to your regular jiu-jitsu. So for me, dude, I'm very pleased. And I was like, I'm not interviewing you tonight, but I'm interviewing you soon. And it's one of those things where I like to tell people, I'm like, the way it works is I have this funny feeling with people where I go, tonight's not the night. And I'll tell them, I'm like, but I know it's going to come. I know because you're a grinder, we're going to run into each other. And when you win one of them, I'm going to be there, dude. So,
well, I think giving him a time that he can go back and rewatch all his matches, and then having that talk with him about okay, you watched your matches now. What did you think? You know what I mean? Or what did you feel? Because when I in my match, I felt great. You know what I mean? I felt super sharp. It was one of the most centered and focused I've ever been in a very long time. I watched the match on Mercedes' iPad, and I was like, well, I did okay. For me, it was there could have been more. Maybe I could have done something more, but what I did was effective, right? It's
sure.
Because I even told Eddie and Master Vic, I was like, when I got to mount, the immediate thought was, or first off, when I went from side control to knee on belly, I was trying to give me his back so I could hit that Burchak pack on him.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like he conceded to giving up the mount, and I was like, holy fuck, he's gonna let me mount him. And I got on top. The second thought that ran through my mind was, I'm gonna TKO him and make, you know, Eddie said something about ratings. I was like, I'm gonna TKO this dude and make these ratings go sky high. And then I was like, but that doesn't show that I know jiu-jitsu. It just shows that I'm a meathead MMA guy. And I said, you know what? I'm watched my coach Casey, and I set that head and arm triangle up and moved off to finish with that sideshow. So I think that was the best way I could have done that, because I did showcase not only wrestling and takedowns, but guard passing. I said, fuck it, try a leg lock. That didn't work. And then I passed again, moved to side control, moved to mount, and then finished. So I think that was the best way that I could have showed. And I definitely showed that these fools are out here slapping, and I'm thudding dudes with actual palm strikes.
Yeah.
And I hope a lot of those dudes go back and watch what I was doing with my hands, because a lot of their matches could have gotten changed with just a few of the things that I was doing with my hands. The body shots, my opponent, every time I hit him with a body shot, he said, oh, fuck, shit. He was, the whole time I would hit him, anytime I would hit him to the liver, he would just quiver. And it was like, I knew that working the body from the top like that, everyone's going to be protecting their face. The body's going to be wide open, and it's nothing but soft tissue.
Okay, that's a lot to process. So here's what I'm going to say. It's interesting because everybody has different ways of processing their matches. I was actually really happy with the way that you did it, because you did show striking, and you did show it effectively. And that gets missed on combat jiu-jitsu is that a number of fighters just forget. Like, they get in a spot where they forget that these are weapons that they have, which tells me it's not necessarily part of a game plan that they necessarily really, really have solid in there.
Yeah, but I also think that if Eddie would have started combat jiu-jitsu from the very first episode, this would not be an issue. We're all so much hung up on the fact that CJJ is EBI, right?
Yeah.
And EBI is CJJ for the moment. And I think we growing up, or not growing up, but just growing with EBI tournament, is that we always go, okay, we're in EBI. We're in the EBI tournament. I can't hit somebody.
Sure.
Rather than going, fuck that, I'm going to slap this dude. You know what I mean? But the times that I reminded Chewy to strike, he landed giant strikes.
Yeah.
And that opened up his passing, and it opened up a lot of different things for him.
It's true. But let's talk about this. So, again, I do want to talk a little bit about your match, because it was good, man. And I was very impressed by it. And honestly, it's almost the subtler version of getting to show a little bit more of your arsenal. I think it was a good choice to, maybe not get the TKO. You know what I mean? Sometimes things come up and you could show off different things. But that head and arm triangle looked really good, and it just didn't happen. You made it happen through a consistent number of things that you were doing in addition to just normal jiu-jitsu with good passing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've really been focused on. There's going to be guys that don't want to wrestle with me, right? And they're going to sit down. So if my wrestling's 100, what's the next thing that needs to be 100? My passing, right? So if I know guys are going to sit, my passing game needs to be on another level. And, I mean, people keep, there's the number one wrestler in 10th Planet is PJ or Connor Hughes and stuff like that. And I mean, I'm going to toot my own horn now. I'm the best wrestler in the 10th Planet system right now. And coupling that with the 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu and the passing game and the leg locks, it makes me a huge threat in combat jiu-jitsu. And I know you got Red on later, man. You better tell him to keep that belt nice and shiny, because I'm coming.
I like that. I mean, you know what the nice part about it is that for Red's case, and I say as much to him, which is, his story was also great too, in that he won his way to it, and that he actually showed that qualifier is no joke. Like, to actually go through a tournament of 8 to make your way to the big show, there is something to be said about making your way and earning your shot there. So I was very proud of him in that sense. The thing I also like about Red is that he is usually a gamer. Like, he is somebody who likes that challenge. And, it was interesting. The reason why I would very much like to see you and him is because when you looked at him versus Honstein, he was normally winning a lot of those wrestling exchanges until he got to the guy who knew how to combine strikes with his wrestling. And he had to completely come up with a different strategy. And that was something I credit him with when he
Right.
did.
I didn't know fucking Honstein could wrestle like that. Honstein wrestled his ass off. He did a great job, man. And Red's an amazing wrestler. I watched him take out Calistine at ADCC North America.
Absolutely.
But once I saw Honstein kind of, I was like, this kid doesn't got the takedowns for me. He doesn't. And I'm going to put something out there again. I haven't been taken down in my whole jiu-jitsu career. And if anyone did take me down, it's my brother Fred Lux, who's passed away, rest in peace. But he can't fucking defend himself and say that he did take me down. So I don't think I've... It's on tape. I don't think I've been taken down in my entire jiu-jitsu career.
Okay.
And it's going to stay that way.
Okay, but I want to talk about this because this is something that is slightly upsetting to me, which is, y'all put together this wonderful thing that is bullpen submissions, and I heard through the grapevine that you don't have an opponent, or like, what's going on for you in particular at that event? Because to me, here's what I think people need to understand. Don't complain about no opportunities if you don't take advantage of opportunities.
Yeah, so in Arizona, we're in this weird state where nobody wants to do no-gi, right? Mm-hmm. And then if they do want to do no-gi, they're going to do the IBJJF thing and only fight you at a points tournament where, hopefully they get a takedown, or I take them down and they try to sweep me and then they just hold me. You know what I mean? There's no room for motion. So, I mean, you've seen on my story, like, I'm going to call it straight up. There's not one black belt in Arizona from 135 to 170 that can beat me in an EBI sub-only rule set.
I saw that and I was like, it was funny. I was going to put it up, and I was going to put it that day and have it be a thing when I saw that go up. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to wait. Because I had a good feeling on how you would do over at Combat Jiu-Jitsu over the weekend. And I thought, okay, that happened. You won. But if I were a competitor and I wanted the opportunity to show what I've got, and you're putting out those challenges out there, I just don't see how you wouldn't put yourself out there to try that.
See, because you see it as a marketing thing, right? Is even if they fucking lose, and even if I get their ass kicked, they're going to get 100,000 views on what happened. You know what I mean? But there's just, in the state of Arizona, I'm here trying to grow jiu-jitsu, and there's guys like the great Gustavo Dantes who sees we're throwing bullpen worlds on June 15th, and then all of a sudden he's throwing a gi tournament and takes all of our registrations. So that's not growing jiu-jitsu. That's stifling jiu-jitsu and stifling the new school of jiu-jitsu and growing it. It's that doesn't do anything for anybody. Yeah, you just split the market and everybody's comfortable in their fucking pajamas. It's like a goddamn security blanket. Take that off and let's fucking grapple.
For real, dude. I can't tell you how many times, even with our gi guys, I always tell people I'll show up to an open mat and I'll bring my gi with me. And I love gi. But I tell myself, I'm like, I get really excited to actually trade more no-gi. But I say, I'm going to give myself 45 minutes of gi, and then I earn my 45 minutes of no-gi. Because I think it's important to train both disciplines if that's what you want to do. But to ignore one entirely just doesn't
and
great.
And I just went up against, I just did a tournament at home where I put the gi on and went up against one of our state's top brown belts, who normally competes at 160 and above, 170 and above, and I had the opportunity. We were the only two in the bracket. And the opportunity, the chance was, do you want to do the finals right now and do 1 round sub-only gi? Or do you want to do best out of 3 points? And I said, you know what? I fucking came for a challenge. Let's do best out of 3 points. And you know what happened, Raph? I got my fucking ass kicked. And you know what happened right after that?
What's that?
The crowd went nuts. And not because I had, like, it was a little bit heartbreaking. You know what I mean? I was like, damn, all these people want to see me lose, you know? But it wasn't that. It was more of the guy that I lost to is such an amazing beacon in our community. He films everybody. Check out BTB Media on Instagram, BTB_media. Brother Fred, he has his little thing that he follows around everybody in our jiu-jitsu community and does little mini docu-series on everybody, you know what I mean, or tournaments. And he gives back so much that it's not that people wanted to see me lose, it's that people wanted to see him win.
Yeah.
You know? So I didn't understand that at first. I thought motherfuckers were just being haters and, like, you know, it was detrimental to the ego for sure, but I realized that it was more about Freddie winning than me losing.
Yeah.
And him showing that he is one of the top competitors in our state. And you know, but there's nobody dropping the gi to come see me.
Yeah.
You know? There's nobody going, you know what, I'm gonna get out of my comfort zone and get fucking heel hooked.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the nice thing is, I'll tell you this much. If it were to be the latter more than the former in terms of people wanting to see you lose, welcome to the club, because I've never had a role being the smartass that I am where people are cheering for me. I definitely have a lot of people who, and especially when I'm going against like really high profile competitors who, if we're in the room, everybody's coaching them, and I'm like, why do they need help?
Yeah.
They literally just won gold. And they'll just be like, Raph,
Hey,
we really don't.
But if they're coaching them and you're like, why do they need help? Obviously you're doing something very right that they're not stopping.
You know, Tony, I would love to take a moment and flex on myself and be like, I'm just doing such great work, but like, I'm not winning the round. I'll tell you that right now. I'm like,
You're mounted and they're coaching that guy.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I'll look at them and be like, I think they're winning. I don't think we need to do any more here. But you know what the nice part is like, I've literally, black belt professor will just be like, Huffa, good luck. And I'll be like, thanks.
Oh, sweet.
Really,
that's what kind of day it's going to be today?
It's just good aces. But we've come to an understanding. So, okay, but on a weird connection level, you want to talk about wrestling. You want to talk about the fact that, you know, seeing you yesterday, I went to go train this morning, and I have a guy whose wrestling is just way better than mine. And I tell him, I'm like, we have to train wrestling. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, you're better than me, and this is the only way I get good, is just by doing this. And I suck so bad. But I was like, we have to. And there was a moment where I had his back, and we were going into jiu-jitsu rounds after. And I was sitting there, and I was like, mechanically, to a wrestler, was like, oh, I want to do the Burchak backpack. God damn it. I don't know this yet. And I'm starting to hit like a full Nelson, and his like wrestler instincts are like, what the fuck is this? I thought this was jiu-jitsu, man.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh fuck, right. I gotta like hone this down. But at one point I have like a half Nelson. I was like, no, just relax. Nothing bad's happening. I'm just trying to figure this out here. Did not work yet, but it was definitely one where I was like, oh, when
but
it comes.
You can see it, right?
I can see it. And I can see the transitions. And I'm like, ooh, when it does happen though, it's gonna be so fucking glorious. So I'm ready for it. I'm very excited for that. Tell me a little bit about this. So Bullpen Worlds, you've got that coming up in a very short amount of time, and let's just talk about this. You mentioned how crazy your May was between all the birthdays, but you've also been putting together an extension for your gym, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So on top of that, then you've also got the tournament that you're hosting. So I think it's really important that we help to get the word out there, because you guys are doing 1,000 things, and I want to make sure people do know about it.
Let's rewind, because you guys don't understand. When you guys want to be successful, the hustle does not stop. For 4 weeks in a row, we had competitions, whether it was guys at super fights, whether it was a tournament. We went literally super fights for Rise of the Prospects and Last Warrior Standing. Then we went to the Old Pueblo Open in Tucson. Then we went to the On It World Open. Then I'm out here at Combat Jiu-Jitsu. My buddy fights next weekend in Las Vegas at Tough Enough, June 7th.
Oh,
then we're back in Phoenix for Bullpen Worlds, June 15th. And now at Bullpen Worlds, we're trying to focus everything a little. No longer individual brackets. Everybody's going to absolute, and you get the cash money right out of the gate. So
Wait. I'm
on
sorry.
top of
Tell me.
that,
Wait. What?
so you know how we usually do the bracket? You
Yeah.
win your bracket, and then you move to absolutes.
Well,
Well, due to the Gustavo tournament and the registrations being kind of low, we decided to just make the immediate bracket, the one you win, the cash bracket. So it's gonna go 16-man cash brackets. We got some amazing custom medals done by our friend Naveed. So it's gonna be really really cool to see. Also, Hector and Leg Locker are gonna come out, and I'm gonna be doing a 1 hour seminar at Leg Locker before the tournament so everybody can see some cool things. I'm also going to go over EBI overtime tactics, and I'm going to show the Berchak pack so everybody knows when I get to the back, this is definitely an option, and we can start using this.
dude, that's fucking amazing. Like, let me say this. One of the things that I get from a lot of competitors is always like, hey man, they don't have tournaments for cash for me, and I can't get in on this, and you got to be a high class athlete to make money in these things. So you're telling me that from the get go, you have these people who could be in a cash situation.
Yeah, we're paying fucking white belts, dude. So it's like we got, like when we do the tournaments in Tucson, white belts make their money back and then some.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At Worlds, the situation that got presented to us was a little bit unique, so we had to adapt and overcome and change that as well. And like that's what I was posting that night that I went off about these black belts, saying, "Oh, I wish I could. I would love to, but this." I'm like, you guys just have excuses on top of excuses, because here's the thing: you guys are gonna pay $95, $109 to go get matches, and you're only gonna get a medal. Mm-hmm. We're offering an $85 or $89 registration, and you're going to get a medal, award, sponsorship package, and cash. How is that not an easy answer? And black belts are free. Oh, well, I'm competing at the Gustavo Dantas. That's cool. Gustavo Dantas is on Sunday. Nogi's on Saturday. Man the fuck up and let's do both.
I love that. I'm so stoked for that, dude.
Like my last fight for Combate Americas, I fought October 13th, and then the next weekend I'm doing jiu-jitsu, against Chewy and dudes like Kyle Chambers who wanted to rip my leg off.
Yeah.
So like there's dudes that just, they say they're about the warrior spirit, and they say they're out here to test themselves against the best, and it's not true, man. It's really not true.
Yeah. I gotta say this though, dude. I've talked with Mercedes about this as somebody who's openly told people, like, we're trying to give you guys cash. I've been in those situations, and you're literally looking at people and you go, there's so many tournaments that won't give you cash, and I promise you come here, you've got a 1 in 16 chance of doing it. You've got a 1 in blank chance of doing it. Like, the odds are good, and if you're about that life and being a competitor, gamblers would tell you you've got a good shot at it.
And that's what I'm trying to tell people is like, okay, look, you don't understand the EBI overtime? This is simple. Can you finish a rear naked choke? Yes. Can you defend a rear naked choke? Yes. Can you finish an armbar? Yes. Can you defend an armbar? Yes. But we all have seen EBI after EBI that high-level black belts cannot do that.
Yeah.
Why is it that it's the first 2 moves that we learn in jiu-jitsu and none of us can fucking defend it? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, even the best guys get caught in it. Even when Craig Jones had Gordon Ryan, he had that armbar locked out, and Gordon just dug deep into his soul and did not want to tap.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But everybody's going to get caught in that, especially if you're a high-level dude. So you either know how to get out of it, or you know how to finish it, or you don't.
Yep. Man, you guys are awesome. I think that's super dope. I'm very much looking forward to hearing all about that. I love the fact that you guys are making it an event too, and the fact that it's being conjoined with the fitness event as well. Like, that's super dope. I mean, there's a lot of positives going on, so I really hope that people go to take advantage of that. I don't know if people know, but you can register at Smooth Comp. I believe it is on June 15th. Jesus, my brain's out. June 15th is when it's going down. You mentioned combat. I want to know, do we have a potential next MMA fight somewhere down the line for you? What's kind of on the horizon for you, sir?
Dude, I'm calling all cars, bro. Like, I've been trying to find a fight, you know what I mean? But I was just thinking last night, there's 16 dudes in a bracket that all watched me compete last night, and they're like, nah, I'm good. I'm good with that. Because James Barnes, I've gotten offered James Barnes to fight me. I've gotten offered that Pablo Alfonso guy. These are all no's. You know what I mean? And I've been such a social butterfly with everybody and nice to everybody that everybody's like, he's a training partner, or he's a friend, or, he's this, that, and the other. But I can fight friends, and I'm still gonna buy you a beer after, and we're gonna hug and be best buds no matter what. I fought Roman Salazar. We were high school friends, and we're friends now. You know what I mean? I fought tons of dudes that I was friends with, and we continue to be friends. You know what I mean? But as far as MMA, I just signed with a new sports management agency. They've been putting some feelers out there to Combates and to LFA. LFA's coming to Phoenix July 26th, I believe. Okay. And I'm trying to get on that card and be the headliner.
Okay, that's what's up. That's good stuff, dude. I'm glad, because, the nice part is I say this in reverse to a lot of grapplers who go to MMA. I always be like, listen, when grapplers go to MMA, I'm always like, we're going to lose you. I feel, though, the opposite happens with you going more into the grappling world, where I'm like, you still got it, dude. You still have something great to contribute in MMA, and I do like watching you fight. So for me, it's like, I don't care if it's Ryzen or whatever the fuck Raisin they want to call it. Half the time, they should spell it a way that they want us to say it. But whenever I see people like, putting your name out there, I'm just like, yeah, dude, Combates Americas, that made sense too. So wherever it is, it's dope. And I love the fact that on 6 days' notice, you took what you thought at the time was going to be in the tournament, which is an entirely different beast into itself.
Yeah, that's a different mindset, right? Like,
it's 100%.
And then when I got it, I was like, oh, shit, no sweat, like one match? Right, cool, I'm good.
Because, like, honestly, dude, it's like, my favorite is always, that mentality game of, like, even with the guys we've coached, be it Medina or people that we've known from the podcast, where it's like, yeah, dude, you can't celebrate one win. You can't even really acknowledge it. We just have to move on. You have to be in a constant state of, at maybe 11 p.m. tonight, you can sigh relief. But until then, you're in that game.
Kind of Mercedes jumps on my shit about that. She's like, you never just look back and reflect on what you've done. I was like, if I fucking take the time to stop and look at what I've done, I'm not going to keep going and continue to do more shit. I'm going to sit there and be like, God damn, I'm great. Look at all this shit. And then that's going to turn into a fucking 10 to 15 day, self, love thing. But honestly, man, I want to keep it moving. There's titles that I need to win. I really want to establish myself as a threat in jiu-jitsu. I want to go to Kasai. I want to be winning Kasai. I want to be winning IBJJF Worlds in Nogi. I want to be winning, Polaris. I want to be winning these giant tournaments. And I want people to look back and go, damn, he was probably one of the best wrestlers in jiu-jitsu. Not only that, his overall jiu-jitsu game was complete. I want to go back into MMA. I want my shot either at the Bellator or UFC title. No matter who you put in front of me, I'm going to fucking ruin somebody's day. You know what I mean? And whether that's in jiu-jitsu or in MMA, it's not easy with me. I'm going to be a dogfight. You might beat me. You might whoop my ass, but you're going to earn every fucking inch. It's not going to be given to you. So I think, honestly, I think I got 5 to 6 more years in me in MMA. And I want one more major world title. And, PFL's doing the $1 million payday, and I'm hoping they open up the 135-pound bracket, because that shit is mine.
That's good. That's good stuff. And I mean, like I said, dude, it's the hard part about the EBI or the combat in terms of what, like structuring it is. And I know this is partially why when you were watching other people fight, and yeah, 10th Planet only gets so many slots. I understand that. There's got to be another rotation around the sun. And that's what makes you want to be in there as well, too. Where you're like, yeah, it might be a while before we do 135ers, especially combat, which is, I would think, your time to shine kind of a thing. So I get it, dude. I think that it's going to be interesting to see what more they do with combat jiu-jitsu because uh, them already announcing their next date is conjoined with the next UFC. That's the Stipe and DC rematch out here in Anaheim. You know, it tells
Oh
me
shit.
they want to make some of those UFC stars come over here, and that's my great hope. You know, like bring them in, keep piling them in wherever we need to get them, wherever those eyeballs are, just get them so that people can watch and really, really get to appreciate what we appreciate. So, you know, I don't know.
Well, because it's definitely cross-platforming. There's people that do jujitsu that watch MMA, but not everybody that does jujitsu watches MMA. You know what I mean? It's the same kind of thing with kind of what WWE wants to do with the cross-platforming of fighters.
Yep.
You know, not all the WWE guys are going to watch UFC, but a good chunk of them are. You know, to follow those people, and the people that watch UFC are definitely watching Ronda, and they're definitely watching, you know, the Ronda Travis Brown thing, and you know they all speculate, is Conor going to go to WWE? They love Brock. So it's always cross-platforming somehow, whether it's EBI and combat jiu-jitsu to UFC or UFC to EBI and combat jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I as much as I like to tell people, especially when we used to have, you know, everybody goes, I want to be in that tournament because I don't know when it's happening again. You know, I know they have to produce so many shows per year. So who knows? Maybe we see it sooner than later because I can tell you this much yesterday. I thought yesterday overperformed. You know, I didn't go in with a ton of expectations, but I thought there were some good matches and good moments. And I think that's really good, especially from people who were new to that audience. So I was very stoked for that because I'm like, I really like that everybody got like a little time to shine on that. So I think that's good stuff. Let's do this. I want to make sure that people know to go ahead and sign up again. Bullpen Worlds is coming up. What other stuff can we help you plug, sir?
Yeah, Bullpen Worlds, guys, it's on smoothcomp.com. Oral IV, which is a rehydration company, is going to give out a sponsorship prize pack to the 3 fastest submission winners. And then as well as, who else, babe?
Cruise Combat.
Cruise Combat is doing a custom fight kit for purple, browns, and blacks. So the champions will be able to go to Cruise Combat. I don't know if you guys have seen my Gila Monster kit, my rash guard, my rattlesnake kit. Mm-hmm. All of that is USA. All that is made in the USA in Texas. Ryan at Cruise Combat's an amazing dude, and he puts together some super high quality kits that have a lifetime warranty. So if any of the Velcro starts coming away, if your rash guard rips, he fixes it 100%. It's under, and he's doing those custom fight kits for all the champions.
That's awesome, dude. That's super stoked.
But as far as anything else, man, you guys can follow me at Burchak MMA. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. Facebook is just facebook.com/Anthony Burchak. I try to converse with everybody. So don't be shy. I'm not bigger than anything. I ain't shit. Just hit me up. I'll talk to you guys. I like chatting with people. High school kids hit me up for how to do their weight cut properly, some workouts they could be doing. Guys hit me up about their jiu-jitsu, MMA. If you guys have any questions, man, don't hesitate to slide into my DMs. I was young and starting out, a long time ago, and I wish I had more people to ask questions to. So if you guys have questions, hit me up, man. Like I said, follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Burchak MMA, and make sure you guys register for Bullpen Submission Series, the Bullpen Worlds. It's at Phoenix Convention Center, June 15th. Smoothcomp.com. Boom.
That's pretty good. I like the laundry list of things that you ran through because the one thing I do want to mention though is I can't stress how important this is. I think that it's really nice that you open it up to people. Because I think those of us who went out and you pave a way or you do something new, you especially know how great it is when somebody puts the elevator back down to help out other people. I wish someone would tell me how to have done this years ago, but it was like, there's not really anybody doing this particular thing. So it's like anytime somebody I see is interviewing or new in a podcast realm, I reach out to them because I'm always like, it sucks not knowing. Like, there's nothing worse than not being able to get that head start. So I think it's really dope.
Well, when you think of yourself as a veteran fighter, you got to think yourself, maybe this is just me because I'm a parent, but you always want your kids to have more than what you had growing up, right?
Yeah.
So me as a head coach, I always want my fighters to me as I was coming up. But I've noticed that there's this fucking thing that happens when you make that shit easy, they expect it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So there's that midline of like, look, don't tell me you want to go to Tough Enough and fight in Las Vegas because we'll make it happen
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
I want you to make sure that you understand that we can make it happen. They've even just had this, you know what, how and why. And he was just like, well, I train under, Jacare Souza, but, they don't care about the Brazilian kids coming up. They only care about the guys that have already made it.
Yeah.
He's like, at least with some of you guys are a little bit more compassionate, and you guys are trying to work on, getting in, new athletes. So
Yeah.
I think it's really cool to kind of guide people. And I, like I said, I wish I just had guidance when I was coming up a little better.
Yeah, that's dude. I'm a huge fan of that. Well, listen, Tony, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking the time out of your drive. I also want to give credit to Mercedes, who's also not only driving, but is making sure you're getting the plugs in, because I want to make sure that when I hear her saying and being like, hey, dipshit, perhaps plug this, I'm always like,
Yeah.
see, no, that's overachieving over there. But again, I can't.
We're like we're on face.
I think we're starting to get bad reception again, real quick. So I will cut this up, but I will say this:
It's all right, man. I'm signing off. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the love and support, Rap.
absolutely, sir. I will talk to you a little bit later. Everybody, stick around. We'll be right back with our interview with Red, the winner of Combat Jiu-Jitsu, in just a second after these messages that will go up. Hold on, I gotta get the fucking video. Because I'm the one doing this. I don't know that people know this. Like, I've got a team that does this. It's like, no, it's me. So 1 second. Here's your fucking sponsors. We'll see you guys in a minute. I'll be right back.
Later, Rap.
The Grappling Hour is brought to you by Luda Gear, athletic support items created by grapplers for grapplers. Fire Grub Meal Prep, done right.
That was weird. It just gave me a pause, so my apologies if you saw some blank screen right there real quick. We were going to do another ad insert. If I can do that right now, I'd like to give our other sponsor some props, Luda Gear. So let's look at their thing. I'd like to say always as appreciates to our folks who pay the bills. Lapse in that. You can see my hair's falling out because of it. But I want to say this, you guys. I had a fantastic interview with the winner of Combat Jiu-Jitsu yesterday. This gentleman, I can't say good enough things about him and his persona, his personality. He's a super nice, humble dude. He's hyper aggressive, so that's intense. But he's one of those guys who I've had the opportunity to get to know a little bit, and I think the world of him. I think he put on a great performance yesterday, and I'm really happy that we were able to make this interview happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, check out the premiere of our interview with one Richard Red Alarcon. Go enjoy it. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here with
Richard Red Alarcon, Jr.
the junior. Well, it's important to add the junior because I heard your dad.
Yeah, that's my
And
pops.
Your dad.
He's the senior.
Well, I can tell you this. It didn't take me long to figure out he was your dad.
Yeah.
Because wrestler dad.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You already know.
Oh,
He's a
I
loud
could
one.
hear it.
Yep.
It's not even that it's
feel it.
loud.
You can feel that
It's
roar.
just that, like, when he's looking at you, being like, "Yeah, so turn."
Yeah.
I know he's got your back. Just turn, and you're gonna get out. And I was like, "Yo, that's some confidence that old man definitely has. That most people will be a little bit more worried."
Yeah.
Obviously, a great day here at Combat Jiu-Jitsu for you.
Oh, yeah.
But a great story in that you qualified for this a couple months ago. We did this whole spiel where you qualified to compete at this.
Yep.
So, what happened the minute you qualified for this? You were able to start prepping for it. How did that preparation go?
Well, funny thing, I was just training like I usually do. I was right back at it, come Monday. I was just doing whatever I did. I really didn't start doing any kind of strikes or anything like that until like a month out. Then I started picking up the tempo, picking up the pace, and really turning it on. About around a month out, I started doing like some extra live goes. Those were not fun at all. Those fucking suck. But yeah, I mean, there was times where I was hyperventilating, crying, bleeding. Jiva didn't let me quit, and none of my teammates let me quit, and I'm very appreciative of that. That's how you break, mental barriers. So it's a blessing.
And I mean, honestly, you really look like you were pushing through some tough spots tonight. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but I do want to know a little bit more about the prep because you're somebody who does gi and no gi.
Yes.
So, you told me just right now before we went on that you're going to be going to compete at Worlds in a few days, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you ever thought of taking a couple days off maybe?
I mean, 1-2 days, but it's just whenever I stop, my body starts hurting, so I might as well keep training.
Yeah, but you also don't get slapped all the time, but you were getting slapped today, and I don't know how I feel about people getting slapped. I don't know how many of those competitors are getting whacked around before they go to compete at Worlds.
Oh, yeah, it's tough. I mean, you're definitely taking a couple. I mean, in preparation, one of my biggest things was I was keeping my head moving, and I really didn't allow myself to get hit too much. Even tonight, I mean, I probably got hit a handful of times. That was about it. But I kept good posture, kept my head up, and I was bringing the strikes.
It looked like you were kind of doing the grappling equivalent of like stick and move kind of a thing,
Yes.
where it's like you're keeping that same movement that most boxers keep to keep light on their feet because you have to start incorporating that when people are allowed to go ahead and start doing
definitely. You got to keep moving. Otherwise, you're prone to get struck. You're just asking for it.
that. I mean, the thing that I'm laughing about here is I was told by some reliable training partners that I guess they're all happy for you winning, but they don't especially love when it comes close to combat jiu-jitsu time. Now, why would that be?
Oh, man, these bad boys are flying at them. I don't necessarily hit them, but they come pretty close. I'm pretty aware of, what I'm hitting, but I don't slap them, but there's a lot. There's a lot of them.
I mean, I'll say this. I love when you know that there are those training partners that you don't always have to apologize to because you're like, hey, we both know we got to go hard. And it's for, furthering the cause, much like I know you're doing for them whenever they're competing in their big tournaments.
Yeah.
Again, they're just not getting slapped around for no reason.
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of give and take. Usually they're prepping for stuff. I'm prepping for stuff. One of the bigger helpers for me was Ariella Brothers Wrestling, the two brothers, man. They're phenomenal. They're just great grinders.
One of them is.
Yeah, there we go. But they don't complain. They're there for me when I need them, right on time, ready to rock and roll, and I'm very blessed to have them.
And I saw they just opened up that facility. It's in Orange County, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
USKO Anaheim. They got wrestling, for the kids, for adults. Monday and Saturday especially, those are like the biggest penetration, days you want to show up. Those are like the big ones. But, I show up, I definitely get my wrestling in. It's a great place for anybody to go for some wrestling.
let's talk about tonight. Tonight was a great night, and for so many reasons, because now how many in submissions in round did you get?
I got 2.
You got 2.
I got 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you got one. Everybody relax.
Yeah.
We got to go clean up this mess. In this one, they're like, play through.
Yep.
Keep going.
Yeah,
And
let it go.
that, they're letting it go. So
Yeah.
that's the first match. Let's talk about the second match.
Second match, that one there, he was a tough guy. Like I knew if I tried to play the slow game with him, I probably wasn't going to catch him. So I turned up the heat a little bit, showed him some speed. That opened him up. He overreached. I shot an outside and took his back and just sunk that choke in real quick. And I didn't let up, and I finished him.
Now your back control should be one of the noted MVPs of this whole program because, in those high pressure situations, I know I lose my back control all the time. I was looking over at you and I was like, dude, can I get a private on that? Because like, yo, dog, like my back control is garbage, dude. And that's before people can strike me back. We have some people who were starting to strike back.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your semifinal though. Semifinal, what happens there?
Semifinals, I'm trying to retract. Okay, yeah,
You
against
and
Nick.
Nick.
Against Nick, man, I knew I was going to have to pull a rabbit out of a hat on this guy because he was quick. He was a little bit bigger, a little bit taller. Same body type, but just like I said, a little more filled in, a little taller. So it was a tough game to go up against, but I knew I was going to be able to grind him out, which he started getting really tired, and I kept that pace up. Eventually he gassed out. I was able to pepper him up a little bit, and then was able to get the sub.
I want to talk about two things here. Number one, the first thing is you're normally known for having a really solid wrestling output.
Yes.
And it was one of the first times with you and Nick that you had somebody who I thought was edging just that wrestling at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then it looked like within the round you were able to make some really smart adjustments.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's always what's indicative of like a really excited grappler to see is like, okay, wrestling, we're going to be equal here and here. Maybe I got to switch it up and do this. And I thought it wasn't just the wear and tear, but the second thing I want to bring up is your knowledge of striking in such a short amount of time in the grappling situation is quite impressive. I know you have a background in fighting for MMA and all that sort of stuff.
That's a funny story because, in MMA, you really didn't see a whole lot of striking for me. I was all grappling. You know what I mean? I was literally all grappling. Like, you probably seen like 2 strikes for me in total. But it was just something about this. It fit my game, and I know like I try to stress a lot on good posture, staying long, staying out of danger, but still bringing that offense. Yeah. And I feel like all my positions, I'm able to demonstrate my strikes from any angle, and I'm able to use my long arms and just. The strikes are there for me all day long, and I'm just pretty accurate with them.
I mean, I got to tell you, man, I was looking over, and I was like, just within the couple months that I've seen you last, I noticed an improvement, and I noticed it was control with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where some of the guys, sometimes they look a little sloppy, maybe they don't look as composed, or they get a little nervous in there. You look like a seasoned veteran in something that you had to qualify for. Yeah. So that's a pretty dope feeling.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, you in the finals. This is a grind. This is one of those ones where you know that this guy has a great competition into himself. You knew that he was going into overtimes and he was making them dig deep. So what was going through your mind?
Well, on the final one, that guy was tough. I knew that he was short-limbed and, his neck, it was a very hard target. So I knew I was going to just have to stay calm and probably take it to overtime and edge him out there, which, you've seen the game plan come to fruit. There was a couple times where I did have like a Kimura attempt, and that was one of the things I really wanted to expose because I knew I probably wasn't going to catch his neck. His feet were too short to really catch, so I knew he'd be able to get out of that. But he was a hard guy to hit.
Well, let's not forget that you also had your anaconda control. You were trying to threaten everything around his neck. So we weren't just talking 1 submission, 2 submissions. We were talking chains and then saying like, all right, I guess we're in it now for the end game, if you will.
I noticed that once I got that first stars, I tried to lock it up and really squeeze on that, and I kept walking it. There was a time where he felt like he was starting to go, and then I readjusted, and then
Well, you guys had that like running Stooges thing at a certain point where he just kept running through. At one point, Beltran looks at him and is like, give me a sign. Yeah. And fortunately, Beltran does not make the mistake of checking, and then somebody does that. But that definitely happened, so that was great to see. All right, we go into overtime. Talk me through that.
So overtime, I knew I was going to be able to hold him. I seen the match previous to the one that he was in. Yep. The guy was able to control his back pretty easy, so I knew that was going to be an element, and I did just that. I held him out. And, for me, armbar escapes, all day long, I got it. It's going to be very rare going to see me get caught in an armbar.
Well, you made very quick work of that, so I was very impressed by it. Let's talk this. Let's talk sponsors. Let's talk people you want to thank. Let's talk all of those people right now, because I'm sure they want to know how appreciative you are, because you were expressing that even in your post-interview there. So
I just want to thank all my teammates, One Jiu-Jitsu, Dream Chasers Organization, Peak Strength Conditioning, Areola Brothers Wrestling, just everybody that helped. ATTC Wear for supporting me and always hooking me up with the dope gear. And then Virus, of course. Virus, man, they always have the good gear, so, I'm always trying to support and rock that. But very blessed to have, the support system and the team that I have. Looking forward to the next one.
Look at how polite you are. Just everything's just, that was the thing I think that impressed me the most tonight was when you won, a lot of people go crazy, they go nuts. It's not like you're not excited, but it looked like you went inward and you just kind of appreciated the moment.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody who watches a lot of people do that. I just want to say, very proud of you, man. You did a great job tonight. Congratulations on that.
Appreciate
So, hey, look for him at Worlds because he's crazy enough to compete in a few days there. And if not sooner, take privates from this man with his back control because I want to learn those things, and I'm sure you do too. Anyway, that'll close it out for us. Keep it locked here at verbaltapcast.com for more information, you guys. So, again, great kid. Super great. I do want to build this up. I don't know that it actually broke up into segments for whatever reason on this. I think it broke it up into 3 different live streams. I know one was with Burchak. We had some issues with him driving. I don't know why this one broke up. So to make it up to you guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to release that video separately so that will just be on one shareable thing on Facebook video. My apologies to Rick or Richard on that one because I want to make sure that y'all know that when that comes out like that, we do not stand for that. We will make sure the quality is even better for you guys. Had a great weekend. We're going to be putting up some photos of all things combat jiu-jitsu coming up on our pages. And by our pages, I mean Kid A Photography and Grappling Hour on all social media. So that's Instagram, that's Facebook, that's Twitter, all of them. We will have more and more stuff on there for you guys to check out. Also, don't forget this week is Worlds. So we might have another edition of the show before Worlds. It's kind of hard to tell just because there's so many things going on. I do want to make sure that you guys know if you are not checking us out on the regular, go sign up as well on our YouTube page and make sure to go subscribe. And if you do want to check us out on the audio version, there are audio versions of these shows that we release over on, I believe it's called iTunes, on the podcast side over there, but you can also find us on Spotify as well. So ladies and gents, that's going to wrap up a very exciting episode. We're very happy that we were able to talk with Tony, with Ash, and with Red. 3 amazing competitors who had 3 very, very, very good days over the weekend. And, it's really nice when you get to share in those moments. My thank you to everybody who helped to make that happen. Big credit on over to everybody who put on an event this weekend. I'm so sorry that we can't cover every single thing in the world, but we are in talks to talk with the winner. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it. But the winner of the the finisher sub only tournament that happened over on the East Coast. So hopefully if we can get that in this week, that'd be great. If not, you will hear from her very, very soon. I don't want to spoil it and tell you who it is. So that way, if you've seen it, you know who I'm talking about. But if you haven't seen it, then you will go watch. Smart. Last couple little items of business here. If you see me at Worlds this weekend, come say hello. I'll be out amongst the people. If you'd like to share your jiu-jitsu journey with me, I'll be bringing a recorder and I'll be taking actually some interviews with everyday folk in addition to some of the biggest names in all of jiu-jitsu. Very much looking forward to that and seeing you guys. I love it when we get to see our friends because, man, everybody's so cool. I know everybody's got their game faces, and if you need a good laugh, just come find me. I'll go ahead and make fun of whatever it is you're wearing. Or other things. Maybe you're passing. I can't promise you. I make fun of a lot of people for very, very some reasons here. Jared Dell brought up something, which was, Raph, bring back the beard. I want to address this right now. So I went in for a haircut. Okay. Not bad, right? Except it didn't work. Before I know it, when I said trim the beard, it became blend the beard. So if you're just looking at this, like, it actually looks a little bit better than it did on Friday. But yeah, I miss it greatly. So I'm looking to see how long it's going to be before this thing comes back to its normal shape. I definitely had a few people comment about it. I think the worst was my wife didn't even acknowledge it when I got home. Like, she went about her day, which is like the real way of saying, okay. But here's the worst part. there's a new place right next to me, and I went to them for the very first time. And when I came home, and my wife goes, once I brought it up, and I said, well, you haven't talked about my haircut. And she just goes, yeah, I didn't know if I wanted to. You know what happened. So what happened? And I told her, I went to the spot you told me to try out. And she goes, I'm very sorry. It'll grow back. So at the very least, he faded it well, like in terms of like the lining, like the lineup is really nice on it. But yeah. So if you guys saw me on Fight Pass, I had a lot of people discover this on Fight Pass and were sending me photos. And so that was something. Again, we don't normally do this, but maybe if you like it, we'll start to do more of these sorts of things. But we have two little things that we want to, I think, kind of talk about before we head on out. And I think the first is a very simple thing, which is, I know you guys watched the interview with Red, but I want you guys to also know that, I don't know if this is EBI that gives it to him, but this kid he's got real shine on him, because when he was walking out, and again, I say this as somebody who doesn't win title belts other than WWE, BJJ, the most prestigious belt in all sports entertainment history. When this kid won his belt, he won it with something that kind of like surprised me, but it makes sense. I just thought I would share it with you guys before we go ahead and close on out. So here's exactly what I saw, and I hope you guys are entertained by this as I was. Do you guys see this right now? I just want you to understand, this is Red's belt carry case. I didn't know he had one. If I did, I would have brought it up in the interview. I'm going to give him so much shit about this the next time we interview. All right. That's all you need. So anyway, didn't know that was the case. Didn't know you get a cover. Also didn't know if you have to buy it yourself or if Red was just like, oh, I'm going to win. I just keep one on hand. So new thing to know. It makes sense to me. It's just it was a surprise. So it did take me a second to get used to it and say, oh, do you have a carrying case for your title belt? And I love the fact that every one of his family members and friends looked at me like, yes, you don't carry one with you? When I win my belts, I often keep them in a satchel. Some people call it a man purse, but I call it my belt purse. It's just who I am. So, here's that. Anyway, the second thing that we want to talk about is when you do see me over at, I think, Worlds this weekend, I will be grabbing a whole bunch of people to interview. So, don't be afraid. You guys know me at this point. You should be more than welcome to come up and say hello. And I think at a certain point, you guys should also be super excited about many of the matches that we're going to be able to get to see. So I hope that you guys will come on over that way. And before we go, we're going to start a new segment where we're going to go ahead and give shout outs to some of the biggest names in all of jiu-jitsu who are giving you guys techniques. And our technique of the week this week comes from our good friend John Evans, who has an amazing instructional on how to improve your cross collar. I hope you guys enjoy this. If you do, go check him out at BJJ Breakdown on his Instagram. Without further ado, here you go.
What's up, grappling fans? My name is John Evans, and we're going to show you a breakdown of a cross collar choke right now. So, main objective, I'm going to get this hand in deep. It can't be shallow. I'm going to get the side of the wrist turned towards the carotid. We're going to pull our knuckles towards us. Once that is accomplished, the other hand's going to land on the ski material on the far side. We're going to get the forearm underneath the chin, my head close to my opponent's head. We're going to pull the elbows back, and we get a nice tap on a clean cross-collar choke. A lot of little details, a lot of things that can go wrong with this choke. If you want to see the full version, head over to my YouTube channel, and we will see you there.
I think Vinny is probably on record for being the worst uke there is in all of everything. I think even in science videos, he would be a terrible second banana in that one. But our thanks over to John Evans of BJJ Breakdown. Please go visit all of his pages. You can go check him out on Facebook at BJJ Breakdown, as well as on Instagram at BJJ Breakdown. And go to his YouTube page if you want to see that in full, because you guys, it's a really good set of small little techniques that will help you, I guarantee you, improve your cross-collar chokes. I know it's helped me in the past. I can tell you this is like a living testimonial, right? Like, it's where I got mine from. Except if I don't choke you with it, then I didn't get it from John. Because I don't want to blame him just because I suck. But you get the idea. Anyway, go check that out. That'll leave us for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name is Rafa Esparza. It has been a fantastic day. It has been a great, great honor to be able to talk with these good folks. Again, Tony, Ash, Red, thank you guys very much. We will see you guys very, very soon. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you on the mats.